Brett starts Noiseworthy.
Good afternoon for this Monday, July 6th, 2020, 2 days after the bombing of Dresden. Wow, what was the deal with the fireworks this weekend? Buy one, get 500 free?
I think that might have been the case.
If any fireworks dealers out there that would like to call in and talk about your windfall profits in your new house in the Yucatan Peninsula, I would love to hear from you, because you had to have just raked all weekend, because the bombing started really the night of the 3rd, and then Dresden, London, 1940 bombing all night of the 4th and into the 5th. I love the fireworks, but I like the light show. I like the show with them. What's the deal with just hearing something go boom at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the daytime.
Don't tell me I'm old, because I know that.
No, I don't really get the daytime fireworks deal. But, for some people out there, especially, looking at through social media, seeing all the fireworks they had, for some of them, I just like you, I didn't know if they were trying to have a fireworks show or they were ready to go to war.
I'm not kidding you.
I know
it
how
looked
it
like
went. It was pretty much the day after just shooting what they didn't shoot the night before.
Is that it? Just the residual call? Because, boy,
If
it was a
you're
lot of
talking about
residual left.
Sunday the 5th.
Okay.
I mean, do
Well,
fireworks
I think
have an expiration date? You can't put them to the side for next year? Or?
I mean, they do not have expiration date, but I'm guilty of it. I've popped fireworks the next day, just a little bit I had left from the night before.
Okay, just a little reserve. I understand that. Well, thank you, Carl, for enlightening us on that. But man, and I think they get louder every year, and I hear worse every year. so something's got to give there. So celebration was had by one and all. It looked like. Did you see that video in Los Angeles of the skies lit up the night of the 4th of July? That looked like Baghdad when the bombing started in 2003.
Oh, it did. I mean, just every single where, especially in Los Angeles, you can almost see them between buildings just going off, and you're like, are we sure this is safe to be shooting fireworks right next to skyscrapers in downtown L.A.? I'm not sure if when your firework only reaches the 25th story of a 30, 40-story building, if that's necessarily the safest thing to do, but it sure was pretty to look at.
It was, and I'm glad everybody had a good time. I know there was a lot of pent-up frustration. It was also a good case in point, just natural to tell a human being to run, they'll crawl. Mm-hmm. You tell them to crawl, they'll run. You tell them no fireworks, and here comes bombing over, just blitzkrieg bombing. But fun had ball, and I hope everybody enjoyed their 4th on Saturday and the 5th on Sunday, and we're back here on the 6th on this Monday, 188th day of this calendar year of 2020, man, and it is day 101 now with no sports. There's nothing. There's not even NASCAR out there today. Not NASCAR running. NASCAR very much in the news. There's no golf. There's nothing. So that means we've had 101 days without sports and 87 with. We are 16 days until opening night for baseball. 2 games now scheduled for that night on the 23rd. 24 days out before the NBA opening. 2 games out that night. 54 days before the start of college football. And 3 weeks from today, we will be starting our coverage, and Memphis will be hosting the World for the World Golf Classic FedEx St. Jude Invitational. The entire baseball schedule is supposed to be out at some point.
Supposed to be out today
about 5:30 or 6.
Mm-hmm. They're going to start on MLB Network at 5. Should, depending on how long it actually takes them to get through all 30 teams, should have a full result by 5:30.
So we should have the full schedule out. So 16 days out before the opening day. Does it feel like we're going to have baseball in 16 days, Drew?
It really doesn't. And, with all the different players opting out, one of my favorite players growing up, now with the Atlanta Braves, Nick Markakis, coming out today saying he's going to opt out. It's just, like I've said all along, I won't believe it's going to happen until we have a first pitch. And with all the testing delays that we've seen throughout Major League Baseball, highlighted up in Washington, where they've had players take 2 tests without getting the first result back.
And you hear of testing trouble around the country. Even this story, one of the testers, just to see, was sending in just the swabs. Hadn't been swabbed, hadn't been deep-brained, nothing. As many of those came back positive as negative.
Ooh, that's very scary.
Yeah, just one person out there wanting to have a good time. We're waiting on Musa Cisse news. Feels like we will get it this week. A lot of the college basketball recruiting analysts are now changing crystal ball predictions. Look, let me say again up front, I admire the recruiting people. I do. I love the vim and the vigor that you have for that job. I don't. I would not want to chase around 16, 17, 18-year-olds for them to narrow their list down to 91 schools. That just would not be anywhere close to what I would want to do. But those people in it that do it and do it so well, I admire it. Now the crystal ball predictions are all coming around to Musa Cisse headed to the Tigers. Drew, tell everybody, where was old Brett's crystal ball prediction the entire time?
You've had him going to the University of Memphis at least for over a month now that I can recall, and probably
never
ever since
doubted
he reclassified.
Never doubted it. Never doubted it. He didn't move down here for it to be halfway for him to head to Baton Rouge. And I tell you someone else that remained steadfast, Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He said, you know, again, respect the crystal ball predictions and all the people out there that do it and work so hard in it. I'm here to praise you.
I mean, it's
but
very
I
hard.
I never doubted he was going to the University of Memphis, because the people at Lausanne, they were great to him, and there was a reason why he came from New York to Lausanne. He was going to go to the University of Memphis. Now, I didn't know that he was going to reclassify, but whenever he was going off to college for that 1 year, probably that he's going to be in college, I thought forever it would be Memphis, and I think that makes the Tigers, I won't say this or bust. I'm not going to do that, and I really didn't do a lot of that last year, never believing what transpired, and sure didn't have any a clue all that would happen, but I never put that big on them last year. I thought they could be really good, and they would have been. But I think this is Sweet 16, but I won't say or bust.
Yeah, I was in the same boat as you. I never said or bust. I said the goal for the season was make it to the tournament, something you haven't accomplished in quite a while now, going back to Josh Pastner's second or third to last season. And then after you accomplish that goal, hang a banner that means something. Get to the second weekend of the tournament, hang a banner with a number.
Exactly what you said.
With a good number on it, if that's Sweet 16, Elite 8, heck, Final Four, National Championship. Once you hang that banner that has a 16 on it, you're playing with house money from there, because you, other than making it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, that's asking way too much on anybody out there. I mean, you really can't have a national championship or bust when you get down to one of the final 16 teams in what I think is one of the hardest tournaments to win in all of sports. Then it's a success.
I agree. I agree with everything you just said, Drew, and you said it then. You said it very well just now. There's a lot of news going around in sports today, and I want to get to all of it. We may have to get to more of it about 3:50 or so after we talk golf with Ted Butler. Let me give you a lineup. We'll have Ted Butler with us, as we do every Monday during the golf season, to talk about Beefcakes DeChambeau. He wins. It was all he had to do is finally put a victory around it, and he did this weekend in pretty swell style in Detroit. He just pounded the ball all weekend and putted very well. We'll talk with Ted at 3:30. About 3:50 or so, we'll have wrap up with the first hour, and we may get back to a lot of the news today, including what the Ivy League's going to do for football. At 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports on college football and college basketball. We'll get his thoughts on the Moussa Cisse lean, see if David Cobb will get out his crystal ball and make a prediction. At 4:30, John Varlas, the outstanding, the preeminent preps writer, maybe in the country, from the Daily Memphian right here in our town. He will join us along with David Wolf, the head soccer coach at Houston High, about the slowness and the painstaking manner that the TSSAA that they are moving in, and how it's going to impact a lot of people for the high school sports year and scholarships for those people. At 5 o'clock from CBS Sports Online, Alan Bell on the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes got 10 added to 2, and he just moved officially. If he wasn't already there, Drew, he is in the 0.5 percentile.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe in the world, and well earned.
Yeah, and we don't even know what the dollar value on those 10 years is going to be, but from everything you see and hear and just seeing a 10-year extension, he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL, and heck, the way money's been going up lately, he could be the highest paid athlete in at least the 4 big professional sports here in America.
He could be. He could be, and if he's not already, he is on his way to being the biggest star in the history of that franchise and in the history of that city. It's going to be bigger. He's already bigger than George Brett. He's already bigger than Brett Saberhagen or any of the Kansas City Royals, Willie Wilson or Amos Otis, and he's probably already, and certainly to the younger generation, he's bigger than Lenny Dawson, and he will, because he's going to add to it. It could be 2 or 3 or more Super Bowl championships for him. At 5:30, we will have our top 10 college football quarterbacks heading into this year. Last week we did AAC, we did SEC. Today we will do nationally, and I don't think I have a single one. Yes, I have one SEC, and I'll just let you know right now I got one AAC quarterback in our top 10, and we'll wrap up this day around 5:50 or so, as we do each and every day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Drew, I asked you before we came on today, because I sure wanted everything to be okay by you without talking about your private business, but we had a little bit of a scare on Thursday of last week, and it was why you could not join me in studio and had to just do hits with me during the show on Thursday and Friday. Heck, we were even scared to have you on the telephone line, but you had the virus experience. You had the scare, you had the testing experience, but we're all so glad that it was negative and you are hale and hearty. That's first and foremost. I missed you a lot on there in what you do for this show each and every day, and the friend that you are, but most of all, I'm glad you're healthy.
Well, I really appreciate that. And yeah, it really was a scare. I knew it might be a possibility Wednesday when somebody that kind of runs in the same circle as me had tested positive and had started showing symptoms on Wednesday, and then Thursday morning I get a phone call saying that said person has tested positive, and the whirlwind and the things going through your mind, knowing that you feel healthy, you feel perfectly just the same as you did yesterday, but now every little sneeze you're kind of worried, you're even more worried. Okay, am I about to start showing symptoms? So I go get tested, leave work right away, and that's an experience in itself. I know a lot of people have complained about the wait times. I can definitely sit here and complain about the wait times. I sat in line in my car for 5.5 hours to get to the front and to get tested. And then the worry really amps up because of how many people you have to contact, not just professionally, but personally, to tell them what's going on. Anybody that you've been in contact with within the last week or two, you need to make aware of that. Then as you're waiting on the results, it seems like I got thousands of text messages every day wanting to know when I had the results, if I had heard anything, when should I hear something, should I would I recommend them to go get tested, and those questions popped up, and it was a very, very long weekend. Did not end up getting my results till about 7 o'clock this morning, and was able to kind of put a lot of people at relief, but while I am very grateful and very thankful that I currently don't have it and that I haven't shown any symptoms throughout the weekend and through today, it does still make me worried when you hear about the stories of the false positives, the false negatives, of the positives that weren't even real test subjects when they weren't even swabbed, and you're getting that really makes you even more worried on top of you get I got a sense of relief, but then it's like, well, how many of the people in my group that I run with could possibly have it asymptomatic? Is it okay for me to hang out with the small group of friends that I have been in contact with throughout all of this? Is it okay for me to go see my parents for dinner sometime this week, since I haven't been able to really see them? I mean, so it just, I'd like to say it brought a lot of relief and comfort that I don't have it, but ultimately it led to me a lot more concerns and worries. And I know this is the smallest part of getting COVID-19, but as somebody who works as much as I do, somebody that spends so much time outside of the home, it drove me crazy. I mean, just being inside by myself or isolation for over 4 days was terrifying and scary, and I can definitely understand why people have developed some mental illness and had some depression out of this, because while I do enjoy the occasional day in where I don't really have anything to do, it's kind of the same thing of when you're told you can't do something, you really want to do it, and that's all you really want to do. And when you're told that you can't go out, you can't socialize, you can't get within 6 feet of literally anybody, and you have to rely on people to bring you stuff, bring you food, bring you alcoholic beverages, in my case for over the weekend for the 4th of July, it is
drip
a little
IV.
scary. Yeah, so
Yeah.
and it just like it really did actually put some strain on my psyche, just of the unknown.
Well, I was very anxious for you too. I was very anxious for you, because I knew if you were, the domino effect that would entail, but also trusted mostly that you're young and healthy and fine, and I've seen you work through illness many an hour. But not through this. But it is the scare of the day, and you also that person that first kind of scared your group, that they are 100% fine now too, and I think that's what we have to, a little bit like the commissioner of golf said 2 weeks ago. We've got to be able to handle it, and you've got to go through the protocol. I mean, when I talked to you on Thursday, and you were never hesitant about it, and you didn't need me. You didn't need me to tell you, because you've been reared very, very well by two outstanding parents. But I told you, call the bosses, be up front with everybody, don't hide a thing, go check every box, because just don't hide anything. Be forthcoming. More rather than less is always better, because you never want to get into the old not cover up, but you don't want to get in not being forthcoming, and you were, and it played out, and I knew you would be. You didn't need me telling you that. You were going to do that with or without me.
Yeah, that was one thing that, I think you were one of the first people that I did call, just to kind of let you get ahead of the situation for the show that day, and ultimately probably for Friday, depending on how fast I would have gotten the test results back. But you're exactly right. I wanted to make everybody aware of the situation, because if I hadn't told people and they ended up getting it, I would feel guilty.
Right.
That's something, I don't think I could have mentally taken, knowing that I possibly set off this full stack of dominoes that people unaware.
It's the
of
world
me,
we live in
yeah,
now, though, isn't it?
It's now if I did have it and they'd end up getting it, I'd feel bad already. But if they got it unknowingly, then that's just a situation I wouldn't want to put myself or anybody else in.
Yeah, that's me with the whole mask thing. I don't mind wearing the mask, because I don't want to be the one that were to infect somebody else and imperil them. I'm not that worried about me. I'm really not.
I'm more worried about everybody else. And that's the way. That's why I was so anxious over the weekend, waiting on those results, because I had been in contact with my parents. I had been in contact with my grandparents, due to the fact that my brother was in town for the first time in I think over 6 months. We actually did have a family gathering to celebrate him coming back for a little bit before he left on Saturday. And, I was worried about them. Even if I did have it, I knew I was most likely asymptomatic, but it just would have killed me inside knowing that I knowingly gave it to somebody.
And I'm glad, most of all, that you are healthy and that you did it all the right way, and that's what you do, Drew. And I'm glad you're okay. I was concerned for you, and I'm glad that you are healthy and back with us today. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity July sales event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. Now, they may not fire off the fireworks at Lexus when you buy a new car like we had all weekend, but they're going to really be glad you're there, and they'll treat you right. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in one of their beautiful cars as well. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Drew, you first.
My top story of the day, the Memorial Tournament, which was slated to be the first PGA tournament with spectators, announced today that they will not be having fans on the course. They were hoping to try to get 8,000 people out there a day from Wednesday to Sunday, but Jay Monahan and PGA announced today that they're just not going to be able to do it. The world situation hasn't changed. The advancements in the virus and vaccines and numbers haven't translated the way that they thought they might by this time, so better to be safe than sorry, and I commend the PGA for not trying to push it.
I do too, and you just can't argue with it, and we know that's probably going to impact us because now this week at Memorial at the first one, the Workday charity event, no fans. Next week at the Memorial at Muirfield Village, no fans. The week after that in Blaine, Minnesota, and Minneapolis in the Twin Cities, no fans. Then Memphis, and then the week after us, no fans at San Francisco. I think the writing is pretty much on the wall, but it's nothing official. I don't know anything. I have not talked with anybody affiliated with the tournament about it, but I don't think it would come as a shocker to anybody when we get that news. My top story, it involves the news around FedEx founder, chairman, CEO, and titan of business, and a unbelievable person, Fred Smith. He's selling his stake of the NFL team in Washington. Daniel Snyder's day of reckoning has hit. And maybe, again, I don't know anything, pure speculation here. What if, though? What if, and I do not know one thing, but what if Fred Smith is clearing the decks with any and all available kind of sports money
I think I know where
to
you're
get
going.
to get involved with a local group here and potentially, maybe, spearhead a local movement here to buy the Grizzlies and lead that charge. I don't know that's the case, but when you're going to have that money laying around, and he's got plenty,
Yeah, he does.
When you're going to have that laying around, if somehow to get a local group in, just with his clout behind it, how great would that be for Memphis?
Oh, it would be phenomenal, and he's the one person in the city that could do it, especially if he sells off his share of the Washington team, the NFL team in Washington. And the thing that's thrown me for a loop today is you watch SportsCenter, CBS Sports, all that, they keep referring to him as Frederick Smith, and it throws me off. Like, I know him as Fred Smith.
Well,
like everybody calls. I've never really heard anybody in conversation ever say, "Hey,
I know him as Mister."
You know that Frederick guy over at FedEx? Like, it just kind of throws me for a loop.
And if he doesn't, there's no rancor to him.
No,
because him with that company and those employees, they have stepped up for Memphis.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, the President of the United States tweeted about Bubba Wallace and the NASCAR situation this morning, saying, has at Bubba Wallace apologized for all those to all those great NASCAR drivers, officials who came to his aid, stood by his side, and were willing to sacrifice everything for him, only to find out the whole thing was just another hoax. That and flag decision has caused lowest ratings ever. And while I'm not going to take the time to say all my beliefs on just how wrong that statement is, I will take the time to show that the statistic that he threw out there at the end is 100% false. With
totally inaccurate.
Just on
the ratings
have
gone up.
On the face of it, ratings for NASCAR and Fox have gone up 8% since the restart.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that was wrong and ill-timed, and boy, did we really need those fireworks on the 6th. My not top story, the story of the greatest coach in Memphis Grizzlies history, the Train, Lionel Hollins, to stay behind in L.A. and not go to the bubble in Orlando over health. 66 years young, but underlying conditions, the health conditions, get ready. We're probably going to need some imposing of that around sports, maybe an age limit. To be at a stadium, to be at an arena, to be at a ballpark. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if you'd go as low as 50 to make sure you're catching everybody, or if it'd be 55 or 60 or 65 or 66, 67, 68, like you're on The Price is Right. I don't know what the number is going to be, but we do know how adversely it affects as you get with every year older and the comorbidities of any underlying health instance. I think we're going to see some type of health age number be imposed that you're not going to be around. If it's me at 57 or 58 or whatever it is, or somebody at 50 or whatever it is, I can understand that during these times.
Yeah, to use your Price is Right analogy, I'm not sure what number the yodeling man is falling off the mountain, but I think they're going to eventually have to set a number.
360-8255 at the First Bank phone line, 67129 at the First Bank text line. When we come back, we talk golf. We do it on Monday with Ted Butler. This is Sports Time.
Aston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor. Ride confidently in the direction of your dreams. Unless it's a bad dream, then turn around. Go the other way. Progressive Motorcycle also presents basic policies starting at $75 a year. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy is not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave will be back with us next Monday, but we talk golf every Monday at this time with Ted Butler from Golfing Games over at Summer, the foremost instructor in town. We also got a second hit of Ted on Wednesday with the golf picks, and I know Ted wanted to pick Bryson DeChambeau just like Drew did, and if somehow, some way, Drew hadn't and Ted hadn't, I was going to, and I think it was with unanimity that John Gowen was going to, because he had just done everything in the golf restart that you could do except win. Well, now you can't say that anymore because he won, and he won in about an impressive style ever. Ted Butler joins us now. And, Ted, when you average 350 and you lead the week in putting, I don't know how you don't win.
There's no way. I mean, and yesterday he left a whole bunch of putts just short. I mean, he could have won by 8. You know, he had 4 or 5 putts in a row that came up 2-3 inches short. It's just how do you not pick him at every tournament now? You know, the 2 Memorial things coming up.
I've got an answer for that. He's not play. He's not. I don't think he's in the field this week, so don't take him this week, Ted. Okay. I don't think so. But double check. But I saw the early list released by that tournament. And I don't think I saw him, and I can understand why he wouldn't, because just to go out there and I mean, Ted. He looked like Ted Williams swinging for the downs.
Well, he looked like a young Jack Nicklaus. People of my age can remember Jack in his 20s, and he swung as hard as Bryson does right now, but he had steel shafts, wooden heads, and Balata golf balls, and still hit it. He won a driving contest one year at 341, with that kind of equipment. And Trevino has said numerous times that Jack would have hit it 400 yards with today's equipment. So this is not the hardest swing we've ever seen, but it sure looks like it. And, no PEDs. Nobody saying anything about that except Johnny. Interesting.
Well, we're going to leave it to Johnny.
We'll leave it
but I know, Ted, look, around sports, it's like somebody said a few years ago in baseball, everyone's suspect.
Yeah. Well, you remember when Tiger started bulking up a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
They were all talking about that. If Tiger's on drugs, there's no question. You can't get that big, that strong, that quick. But I don't think he did, and I don't think Bryson is either.
Yeah, I don't think he is either, and I don't think that golf altogether has any serious question or problem with any PEDs. But one thing I do want to get your opinion on, Ted, is as we've seen scores climb and climb, we've had 18, 20, 23 now win these tournaments. Is there any concern around the PGA and especially like TPC courses out there to kind of redo courses to throw off and kind of rebalance out these scores?
Well, there probably will be in the majors, but I don't think it's going to show up like that in the majors. The only way they can make it tougher on these guys is make the rough deeper and the fairways narrower. They're so strong right now. Even if they hit it in the rough, they're only hitting a wedge or a 9-iron. I mean, what would he hit, a 230-yard 8-iron yesterday?
Yeah, something like that.
The rough is going to have to be deeper, the fairways narrower, the greens maybe a little bit firmer. I don't think they can do it by lengthening the courses because, he's not the only one that hits it in that 330, 40 range. Wolf and,
Ted,
and a lot of guys are out there.
I got to the golf coverage a little bit later yesterday, but I thought there was just so many things I took from it. One, kind of inside baseball here, inside golf, very deep. When did the double hit on a chip no longer count as a penalty? I heard yesterday, because I can't remember who did it, but I think it was Matthew Wolf, almost had a double hit, a TC Chin, and it no longer counts as two.
I guess it happened when they did all the leave the pin in and, you can tap down spike marks. And when they changed the rules, that was one of them. I didn't know about it. That's the first I heard about it yesterday. Because Wolf,
it amazed me.
Really close to doing it, with that little chip he had. He almost double whacked it.
And I love the game. I love the rules of it. But I tell you something else that has really changed is how we do a drop around a sprinkler head or wherever you might need to, some type of relief. I mean, Ted, we can remember when we would drop it behind our shoulder, then we went arm extended. Now they're down. I mean, it's down like you're at you're working on the Manhattan Project, making sure you got the nuclear reactor just right.
Well, they're almost placing it. It's getting really close to that. And when we had to drop it behind our back, we had to jump out of the way because the ball might bounce forward.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Rules, they just changed. But it's something to watch this guy. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, I mean, DeChambeau and a lot of guys have really impressed me thus far in the restart of the season. One guy that I want to ask you about, he's had decent. I don't think he's actually missed a cut this season thus far through the restart. But a guy like Ricky Fowler, somebody who is so popular with the fans, why do you think is the main reason he's so popular with only 5 PGA Tour victories?
Well, he does a ton of commercials. I mean, you see him everywhere. He's a likable guy. He's got a good personality. He's a nice guy. He's come close to winning a couple tournaments. I think making as much money as he had in commercials and everything has probably hurt his golf. He's spending too much time making money off the golf course Because like DeChambeau, he's nothing but golf all day long. Faldo mentioned, or one of the guys yesterday said, well, he's not married, doesn't have kids. It's just golf, golf, golf. And that's hard to beat. And I don't think Ricky does that. I think he's got a lot of other things that he does and has fun with Spieth and Thomas, and he's got a regular life, not like DeChambeau's in a vacuum.
Mm.
Ted, somebody's going to try to emulate what Bryson DeChambeau did last offseason, this coming offseason. Somebody's going to have that huge body transformation, and it won't be somebody like Dustin Johnson because he's too long and lanky. But I tell you, somebody that has a body very similar to the old Bryson. I don't know that he would try this or not because it's working just fine the way it is on his way up. But Braden Thornberry very much is built like Bryson DeChambeau of old. Somebody's going to do that, and next year at the first tournament, we're going to go look at that guy.
Well, but with DeChambeau, it's a lot more than his muscles. The stuff he's been doing his whole career on all the intricacies that he does with his golf swing and all the information he gets about golf courses and the golf balls he plays with and all of his irons being the same length. It contributes to hitting a 230-yard 8-iron because it's actually a 5 or 6 iron length. But to do and the intense research that he's done on physics and hitting golf balls in a barometric pressure tube to see how your body reacts to different weather situations. I don't think anybody's going to do that.
Now, is Bryson DeChambeau John Daly with a functioning brain?
Well, he's got about half the backswing. I'd hate to see them arm wrestling, and I wouldn't take John Daly. But
I wouldn't either.
John did it. John was a strong guy, but he did it with that backswing that almost hit him in the left heel. But he didn't do anything else like Bryson does. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Ted, obviously with the way that the tournament's kind of set up this year with all the COVID-19, they'll be playing in back-to-back same courses and back-to-back tournaments. Would you say it's harder to win at the same course back-to-back weeks than it is trying to changing up courses?
That's an interesting question because I can't remember them ever playing tournaments on back-to-back same course. I don't know. Your vibes could be if you win the first one. I don't know. It's hard to play 8 consecutive great rounds on any golf course. I don't think it makes a difference. Maybe if Tiger shows up in the second tournament, something might happen. But Matthew Wolff, he's even made a change in his swing. He's still got his bunny hop knee dip, but the loop is drastically reduced from when he first came out there. He used to pick that thing straight up and loop it about 3, made Jim Furyk swing look good. And he kills it too. I mean, he's only 15, 20 yards behind Bryson.
Yeah,
so
he's not far behind.
The power is out there in these young guys. They all hit it far. So,
Ted, I know Matthew Wolff. We've talked about him before with you, and we all generally agreed that you would never teach that swing. Why wouldn't you? Because the go zone is perfect.
Well, it's just so it'd be hard to find somebody to teach it in the first place. I mean, I would never imagine it to tell somebody to pick the club straight up when they take it back and make a big circle at the top. And before you do that, jump up on your feet. That swing never crossed my mind in my teaching. I think it's just the way he picked up a club when he was young and swung it. And, he generates tremendous power. But like he said, he's in halfway down, he's in the same place as everybody else. They've got their hands out in front of them. They've got that tremendous late wrist cock. The hips are wide open. He does the same move through impact that everybody does, but it's an unusual takeaway.
And, you talk about teaching people different types of swing. And, after seeing DeChambeau and all these guys now being able to bomb it on average 350, I know I want to get out there and try to kind of make my distance off the tee a little bit further. Obviously you've never seen me swing a golf club, but what would be like your basic piece of advice to kind of gain maybe 10 to 20 yards on your drive?
Well, I think core strength right now is what the modern golfers have discovered, that through the midsection, the faster hip rotation than we did back a long time ago. When we were lifting weights, it was all like curls, crunches, pull-ups, muscles for your arms and your chest. Trying to look at these guys now. They know which muscles in a golf swing. In fact, I teach one of the local trainers, and they know so much more about the anatomy now in muscle development and which way muscles go and should go and can go, that if you start working on the right ones, it has to help you. Because we did it all wrong. I lifted weights in college, and I lost 25 yards. Doing all the wrong muscles. So it helps you for sure if you do the right ones.
Ted, yesterday, I know if you watched it intently, you probably caught this as well. Nick Faldo was saying he gives youngsters, when he gives lessons, he tells them to swing every club like they're swinging a pitching wedge. Did you hear that part of the broadcast yesterday?
Right. It's part of the golfing machine teaching system where you chip, pitch, punch. You start out with what Nick called you end up with a giant chip shot. You start out going from knee to knee until you can hit a certain spot at 15 or 20 yards. Then you go back a little farther and a little farther. And all the while, you're learning to get your hands ahead of the ball at contact and take a divot afterward, which is the bane of most amateur golfers, that they throw the club head past their hands and they take divots behind the ball and skull the ball and all these missed hits. Starting with a chip shot, which I do a lot too. I mean, because I believe in that if you can learn contact from the start, what it feels like to hit a solid shot, and then just make it bigger and bigger and bigger, has got to be the best way to go.
Is it muscle memory being attained, or is it confidence, or both? When you're in that good feeling of hitting a good shot.
Oh, no question, it's both. I love it when the young kids come in and they. In fact, a week or so ago, there was a mom sitting in my room, and her son hit a shot that sounded really good, and she said, "Well, what his name was? What did that feel like?" He said, "Nothing." And that's the feeling when you hit the sweet spot, like baseball. You don't feel things, and that's the sensation you get from the chip shot early on. Trying to do it with a full swing driver, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way.
All right, are we going to have a natural pull and push though, with that being espoused and kind of the easier swing, the farther it goes theory, and then people watching DeChambeau just mashing it?
Well, I believed in the easy swing part. The farther it goes, I mean, that's almost, if you think of the physics, ridiculous. If your club head speed is slower, how's the ball going to go farther? That doesn't make sense. I think when they're trying to help people, they say, well, swing a little easier, maybe you'll hit it more solid, and it'll go farther than the one you hit off the heels across the street. But 100 miles an hour goes faster than farther than 90 miles an hour if you hit it solid.
Yeah, there's nothing better in golf than hitting that sweet spot and hitting the perfect shot.
Catching it good.
And it's the few times where you say to yourself, Tiger Woods couldn't hit a better shot than that. But the thing that separates me and Tiger is one big thing, and that's talent. That's why he's on the PGA Tour, and I'm not. When do you think we do see Tiger? Do you have any readings in your Tiger Woods crystal ball?
I'm thinking that he's saving himself for this big, close-together majors season that's coming up. I think the Memorial, I expect to play, and then maybe a little bit leading up to the major, having two Masters within 6 months of each other, and the Open, US Open, PGA in there. I think that's what he's looking at as maybe one last shot at making a big noise. Because it's all laid out. And if he can get playing really well, not burn himself out early, not hurt himself early, I think that's what he's doing, just saving himself for this little rush coming up.
One last thing for Ted Butler talking golf with us on Mondays. He does it every Monday, and he'll join us about 4:20 on Wednesday and pick golf picks for Dave with John Goin and Drew and myself on Wednesday. Ted, how many players are playing this week? Maybe just running a little intel on the golf course for next week, since they're not leaving town and it'll be the same course.
Well, don't know. Like I said, it's never really happened before. I don't know how you would approach a situation like that. Who knows? I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, and and they may have it set up, radically different. A lot of times, like when Pebble Beach in February, and then it hosts a U.S. Open, it's not even anywhere close to the same course, but that's a lot of months in between. This one won't be as much, but we'll talk about it next Monday, and it'll be fun. 2 weeks in a row at Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio, at the home of Jack Nicklaus, and next week his tournament. This week, a add-in tournament after the tour lost out on one. But Ted, we will visit with you on Wednesday, and we'll talk again then. Thank you very much, Ted.
And who has the first pick this week?
You do, I believe.
You're up first.
Me?
You're up first.
Okay.
Make some noise.
Got it.
You got it. Thank you, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
You got it. Ted Butler with us every Monday from Summer Golfing Games, one of the foremost teachers in our area, and been a part of this radio station since 1992, talking golf with us. When we come back, we round out hour number 1. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Oh, my stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's now in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And now you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Let me try it.
Try new Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Hey, sports fans, you already know about the great steaks at the Butcher Shop Steakhouse, a Memphis tradition since 1981. They specialize in hand-cut aged beef right over that hickory charcoal. But did you know the Butcher Shop also has great seafood items, from fresh Atlantic salmon with dill sauce, pan-seared red snapper with sautéed shrimp and Cajun cream sauce, Canadian cold water lobster tails, crab stuffed shrimp, homemade lump crab cakes, and a whole lot more. Oh, and don't forget the Fresh Burger Fridays for only $8.95. Come in, enjoy a fantastic dinner at the Butcher Shop. If you need a great private party, the Butcher Shop is your place. 6 different private rooms, seating from 12 to 250, all equipped with audio-visual. Rehearsals, business dinners, lunch, and weddings. You call the Butcher Shop at 901-757-4244. Or you can visit the website at butchershop.com. Just drop in, 107 South Germantown Parkway.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
67129 at the First Bank text line, 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. Visit firstbankonline.com. They know what you need. You need a reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker that can give you an answer, and they make all the decisions about your business here in Memphis and our area right here in Memphis. They don't do it in Nashville, no loan committee in Birmingham, Atlanta, all done right here. A direct answer from the First Bank banker you're dealing with, somebody you see out in the community. First Bank, with stories and a record of customers reaching high, community banks are the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build your success story with First Bank. That's firstbankonline.com, firstbankonline.com. The Ivy League, they've spoken. They're going to spring football. Nothing in the fall. No fall sports. Everything moving to the spring. The Ivy League was first around the NCAA tournament to scrap their conference tournament and suspend everything. They were out in front of Rudy Gobert night, Drew. Mm-hmm. I applauded them then. They were right. I'm not trying to play second guess here, but also you got to remember this. They play Division I college basketball. They don't play FBS college football. They play FCS. Just because the Ivy League did it, it may work. It may be the right thing. It may be the thing that everybody else ends up doing, but I don't think the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC needs to take their marching orders from Ivy League football.
Yeah, I think that each league probably needs to, especially, being Division I football, they need to kind of come together and make a real decision of when it's going to happen if as spring football is an actual possibility. And one thing I really want to get David's perspective on when he joins us here in a little bit is how worried should college basketball be in having college football in the spring, because that's when it makes all of its money through the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's the only tournament that the NCAA financially benefits off. NCAA doesn't financially benefit directly off of the CFP. So how worried are they? Would they somewhat try to kibosh having college football during that time slot to take eyeballs and dollars away from their biggest moneymaker?
Yeah, and we will see. I'm not here to say that the Ivy League did anything wrong. It may be very practical for them, as we're hearing more and more schools today announcing, including Harvard from the Ivy League, that there will not be in-person classes at Harvard. It will be all Zoom, all online. That's a lot of money for basically a lot of self-help classes.
Yeah, hopefully that they do reduce tuition, because that's just not fair to have somebody pay. And that's a terrible decision on their half. I mean, I know it's Harvard. Like, just even if you did get a degree all the way through Zoom, you still went to Harvard. It's still the name weight carries a lot.
But did you go to Harvard?
Exactly.
You'll have a degree from Harvard, but did you go there?
Exactly. I mean, you're selling one thing and giving another. And I think if most universities don't reduce the cost, it's a crying shame, because you're selling these students on the college experience and you're giving them a fraction of it.
And here, I would beg everybody out there in the sports world right now, and regardless of who your team is, whatever team it is, fill in the blank, name the team. Ole Miss, Arkansas, Memphis, University of Memphis, Tennessee, Mississippi State, Arkansas State. Everybody right now, you're in inbox every day at your email or text, some type of communication from somebody in the ticket selling office at almost every school for this year. By now, if we have to have limited attendance, you will lock in yours right now. Here's what I would suggest to people, and I would suggest this to parents getting ready to send a child off to school. Barter, deal. Don't take the blank the blank application number. Don't take this is your price to donate for the seat license. No, if it's been I got to give $1,000 per seat, How about I just give you $500 this year, and you give me that ticket instead of $95 a game? You sell it to me for $50. I guarantee you, if you try to deal with them, turn the table on them. You've got them now begging you. They're begging you to buy early. And if you can, as much as you can, I know it's hard to because they're not going to sign a contract, but try to lock in with them. Let's lock in for a few years at this price.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Kind of put the power back into the consumer's hands to where we're not paying. Yeah, I know exactly, where we're not paying hundreds of dollars for single game tickets, where families don't have to rely on the spring game to be able to take their kids and their families to these type of events. Let's take some power back. And I know throughout all of this, being a ticket buyer for the University of Memphis, being an alumni, I've gotten a lot of emails and some phone calls about when if I want to upgrade to season tickets,
barter.
if I want to give back to my university. And the crazy thing is they start calling you right after you graduate. I got a phone call from the university a day after I walked across the stage asking for more money.
And I understand that. They have to, because that is a captive audience. That is somebody they know or should love the place, and you do, and most all of us do. But this is a time for the consumer to talk back to those fundraisers, to those ticket reps, and go, let's deal, because I know y'all are hurting, and I know you're going to be hurting. And today you see the news of the New England Patriots. The Kraft family will allow free. Man bites dog headline, free parking outside of outside of Gillette Stadium. You know why they're doing that? They want somebody to come to those games.
They do. And when you add in, like I said, all the different things that you have to pay for, it's not just the ticket. You've got to pay for the $10 to sometimes even $50 parking, and then the concession stands. That's a whole nother rant. But
sinful.
They
sinful $6 water.
They nickel and dime you every single place to where you honestly
Drew,
don't
it ain't nickel and dime. It's $20 and $50 bill. It's not nickel and dime. And I have, in the good times, I said this was an insult to our intelligence to walk by anybody's concession prices. Most anybody. Some have gone very fair, like the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. They've gone very fair. But most places you go and you look up there and you see those prices, you want to laugh. You want to go, what kind of fool do you think I am that I'm going to pay you $11? I don't care how big the beer is. $11 for anything. I don't care if it comes out 65 ounces. We've got to get some sense in pricing, and maybe this pandemic will do that. Hour one in the books. When we come back, we start hour number 2. We do it with David Cobb from CBS Sports, talking college football and college basketball. That's next on Sportstime.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick. Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer, with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself from great food. For more information on Sunrise Memphis, visit sunrise901.com or call 901-552-3144 to place your order. Stay healthy and eat Sunrise Memphis today.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Working on an oil change? We can help you get started. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Mobil 1 synthetic high-mileage motor oil and an STP extended life oil filter for just $31.99. And if you need it fast, you can get it fast your way. Whether it's next-day delivery or free same-day pickup, in-store or curbside. The choice is yours. Getting your job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Hour number 2 starts now on this July 6th, 2020, as we set 54 days out from the scheduled, boy, check the fine print on everything, the scheduled start of college football. We were talking about words of the year last week, and it's probably too fancy a word for me and you, Drew, but somewhere in there at the end of the year, force majeure is going to be out there. I know it sounds like a lot like a lot of horse hockey with manure, but force majeure is going to be one at the end of the year.
Yeah, it probably will. Or it sounds like some fancy food item you'd find at a French restaurant, something you have no idea what it means or even how to say it.
I'd like a double order of the force majeure, please.
Yes.
I wonder what they'd bring out if you ordered that somewhere.
I don't know. I kind of want to test it. I want to go to the highest dollar French restaurant I can find and test it out.
You know what they'd bring out bologna and hoop cheese for us. That's what they'd bring out for us. David Cobb will talk college football and college basketball with us. We'll get David's insight and get his crystal ball reading on Musa Cisse. But, Drew, we are always proudly in our Family Leisure Studios.
Yes, we are. We are here in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure is here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99, 24 foot pools only $19.99, 4-person spas starting at $19.99, and swim spas starting at $99.99. They are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give them a call to schedule an appointment or place an order online today. Stay safe. That's Family Leisure, 2120 Renton Road, just north of I-40.
David Cobb joins us now. David Cobb, would you like a double order of the force majeure and a Chianti?
Yeah, that sounds delicious. Can I have it medium rare, please?
Yes, you may. Well, but because of liability, we only cook it medium well.
Yeah, fair enough. Force majeure it is, medium well.
David, we've learned some new words this year, haven't we?
Yeah, I'll take that dish with a side of vaccine as well.
No kidding. I'd take the shot right now. I've said I'd take a Nurse Ratched size One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, about a 12-inch needle right to the temple right now, if that means college football.
We had a chat going earlier in our work thread. How many of those COVID nasal swabs would you take in order to be able? Like if it meant that you could go to a college football game the first weekend
every hour.
Every hour. You know, we were getting on up there, but yeah, your passion is unrivaled, Seth.
Well, we're running out of time, David. In the news today from the Ivy League, I applaud the Ivy League. That's their business, but I don't think it's as impactful as the basketball decision because they play college basketball. Pardon the phrase, with the big boys. They don't college football. The Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, Pac-12, FBS football never waits for the Ivy League to set the music.
Yeah, you nailed it before the break with your assessment of that because it's a different ball game now when you get into football. For a lot of reasons, I mean, it was going to be senseless for the college basketball conference tournament to continue if there was going to be no NCAA tournament. So the NCAA kind of took the decision out of the conference's hands in some way during the basketball situation, because it looked like they were going to be canceling. And so it sort of made it easier for the conferences to make the same decision. However, with football, it's a lot different because there's not necessarily an NCAA decision to be made here. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, the NCAA could step up and provide some leadership and some universal guidelines and throw its weight around, but they have not done so yet. And so it's more so, I think, on the conferences here than it was during basketball. And I don't think that the Ivy League's decision is going to ultimately be something that has a tremendous impact on what the SEC chooses to do with football.
Yeah, when it comes to college basketball, if the spring was what we would do, I'm kind of worried that the NCAA would actually step up and say, hey, you can't play in the spring, just due to the fact that if they were going to do it, it would be during March and April when the whole world is on their tournament. Do you think that the NCAA, if they start actually looking at numbers of trying to compete against, the SEC, Big 10, Big 12 football on those prime weekends, could step up and say either play in the fall or don't play at all?
I doubt it. I doubt the NCAA. I just don't think the NCAA has enough teeth to do something like that. I mean, to me, this has demonstrated once again the sort of vacuum of leadership in college sports. Because if we're taking our cues from the Ivy League, like we were during basketball season, then I mean, I think kind of shows you how blown by the wind the NCAA can be. And so, I mean, I think I said it last week that we were a week or two away from really needing some strong recommendations or some clear leadership in college football. And I mean, we're even closer to that day now. I think Rick Sankey said, he would expect some clear direction by the end of this month. But I mean, by that time, you're literally days. In fact, some teams will have already commenced their preseason practice periods at that point. And so, I mean, honestly, in some ways, the longer it goes without any clear direction, the better I feel about there being some football of the college variety being played in the fall. But I don't necessarily feel great about it being a whole season with every team from every conference participating just the way that it's listed in all the preseason football magazines right now on those dates. Because the longer we go, I mean, the closer we get to there's games on the schedule. They're going to be practicing. And there's just that vacuum of leadership. And until there's an actual crisis that forces somebody's hand, somebody with a little bit more clout in football than the Ivy League, I feel like we're kind of moving towards some sort of football.
Let's just go through opening weekend in the SEC. Do you really think not having school and with what's going on in and around their area, you really think the USC Trojans are going to get on the big charter and head to Arlington and play Alabama at Jerry's World? I'm very suspect of it. Do you really think Ole Miss is going to go into one of the hotter spots in the country, the Houston metropolitan area, and play college football the Sunday night of Labor Day weekend? And for that matter, do you think the powers that be at Abilene Christian are going to get on a bus and leave Abilene and head to College Station just north of Houston and play Texas A&M on opening college football weekend? Some of it, just on the face of it, is impractical.
Yeah, well, the neutral site games really don't make any sense right now. I mean, why make two teams travel? In some cases, both of them going outside of their home state, staying in hotels, eating meals that have been prepared off campus, all these sorts of things that are complications in this environment. The neutral site games really make no sense to me right now, especially because if there's no fans there, I mean, I think it's kind of silly. And so I don't know how at this point you redraw those contracts to reach a more practical solution on some of those games. But to me, playing a neutral site game is pretty senseless. There's no, I just don't see how it benefits anybody right now, especially when we're talking about the possibility of no or reduced, capacity games. So that there's one that I think is a real head scratcher, and that's just something that's just way down the list right now. And it's even still a really significant and complicated issue that would have to be addressed, or you would think might be addressed, as we get closer and closer and closer to the season. There's still been nothing on that topic, and a ton of other topics too with college football.
Yeah, and David, kind of building off of what you said about the neutral site games and trying to reduce as much schedule. Do you think that as soon as we get the word that, hey, we're gonna play this fall, regardless of fans, regardless of everything else, should college football basically, if they still want to do non-conference game, scrap every conference game that isn't regional and just try to book it on the fly? Because we've already seen some non-conference games get canceled due to the fact of how far they have to travel.
Yeah, but this stuff needed to be happening 2 months ago.
Exactly.
I think that that's a great idea. I would love for this to be the impetus to get some of those regional games going again. Just from a logistics standpoint, the amount of time and foresight and effort that goes into logistically getting a college football team of 60-plus players, 20-plus staffers, dozens more support personnel, into a city and into a stadium, are things that require far more advanced planning than what we're looking at now. So, I just don't know that that's going to happen. The thing that they have to preserve at all costs if there's going to be a season is the integrity of those conference games. If you lose a non-conference game, okay, fine. You deal with it. That's a revenue hit, but it's not fatal. What absolutely must be preserved for this season to be anything close to normal or close to competitively balanced are the scheduled conference games, because those it would be a shame to miss out on some of these awesome non-conference games that we have scheduled this year. But ultimately, the conference schedules are what are absolutely necessary, to preserve to keep the sport on life support this season.
We're visiting with David Cobb from CBS Sports on college football and college basketball. You can follow David on Twitter at David W. Cobb. David, at 5:30, we're going to do our top 10 college football quarterbacks around the country. We did AAC and SEC last week, but this is going to be the top 10. And without giving away my top 10, I have Brady White in a very nice position nationally. David, would you share where you would have Brady White in a top 10, 12, 15 list?
It's crazy because I was reading an AAC preview on one of these magazines I've got, and they've got first and second team offense and defense, and he wasn't on there. It was the SMU quarterback and the UCF quarterback who were on there. But I got to think that Brady White's knocking on the door of the top 10 nationally, just because of how productive he's been. So I would have him in that probably that 10, 11, 12 range, behind a lot of the big major conference guys who you hear about as Heisman candidates. I think he's just in that next class, somewhere around 10, 11, 12, in my opinion.
And we'll say this a lot during the year. Bear in mind that this time last year, like nobody, maybe Joe Burrow's dad that had so much confidence in him, but nobody else had Joe Burrow in a top 10.
True. You never know. You never know, especially now with so many teams going to trying to emulate what LSU did with the pro style attack. You never know who that could unlock, who could be propelled to that next level by that. I think Brady White. I think he's going to benefit greatly from the continuity with Ryan Silverfield. Now I know things are going to change to a certain extent, and I know he loses some guys, but he's still got Kenneth Gainwell and DeMonte Coxie, and if those guys stay healthy and Brady White stays healthy, he's just going to have a monster season. And there's some school records that he could shatter, which will be especially impressive when you consider the fact that it will have been done in 3 years for him.
Yeah, Brady White, I think, is set up to have his best year yet at the University of Memphis. I do want to switch to college basketball real quick, and I want to get your opinion on how big of an impact the decision by my core maker to go to Howard will be on the college basketball landscape.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think it'd be awesome if the HBCUs started getting a lot of like 4-star guys. If for nothing else, think about like if there were legitimate like SEC and SWAC rivalries that like started to develop. Well, this is like down the road. I mean, obviously, Maker's just sort of the tip of the iceberg potentially here, but I just think that would be really cool for the sport. To have some of those regional rivalries. We have so many HBCUs in the South, and I just think it would be, because like we think, oh yeah, it's really cool at the Southern Heritage Classic, and we love the bands, and we only sort of think about those schools in passing, but to bring them to the big stage, I just think would be really beneficial for the culture of college sports, and what he's done by committing to Howard will do that. Will help bring, the HBCUs to a bigger stage. I mean, it already has, but it'll be especially big if he actually goes through with it. I mean, I know there's some skepticism out there about whether he will ultimately end up playing for them, and not just due to COVID-19. I mean, this is a guy who's kind of been all over the map, literally, in terms of, like, I think he played for 4 high schools in 4 years.
Yeah.
And there's some
He likes everybody.
Yeah, because of that, there's some issues with, potentially getting eligible. And then, he's still like a fringe second-round draft prospect, too, who maybe could theoretically still get some feedback before the withdrawal date there. That would cause him to change his decision. But it would be a shame, if he sort of got everyone's hopes up and then, it didn't end up happening. But I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. And I think it would be fun if that sort of trickled down to the South and we saw, more than just like a money grab, but Mississippi Valley State going up to Oxford and it being a competitive game, and those, them being in the mix for some in-state prospects with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Tennessee State, same way with Memphis and Tennessee. I think that would be like a lot of fun and a lot of good for the sport, and really elevate those HBCUs and the unique tradition they have to a place in the sport that they haven't had in a long time.
All right, David Cobb, look into your crystal ball and tell us what you think, where you think Musa Cisse will announce at some point this week his decision.
Oh, yeah. Well, like just kind of based off the noise. I mean, I haven't talked to Musa. I haven't talked to anybody at Memphis or LSU in particular about him. But it seems like he's leaning towards Memphis. In fact, I felt strongly enough about it this morning that. A few weeks ago, I sort of pre-wrote a Musa Cisse commitment story that had a blank in there for where he was going to go, and I listed off LSU, Memphis, and the other schools. And at the time when I wrote that, it was really up in the air. I didn't write it as if he was going to go to one school or the other. I just wanted to have something ready for him when he did commit. But I felt strongly enough this morning that one of the first things I did. With expecting him to commit this week was go into that story, and I rewrote it as if he's going to commit to Memphis. Not because anyone's told me for a fact that that's what's going to happen, but it just seems like it's trending that way. And I wrote in that story that will be published if he does commit that it's a very significant commitment from Memphis and Penny Hardaway. He's the only high school player, if he commits, he'll be the only high school player in the class for Penny this go-round. So I think it's incredibly important if Musa Cisse commits to Memphis. I don't think you can overestimate, honestly, how big it is, because they've lost Mike Miller. They've got this IARP thing hanging over their head, and they just need something positive. And getting a commitment from him would be something positive, and I think it's trending that way.
Yeah, thank you. You actually led me straight into my next bullet point that I was getting ready to ask you about the IARP. Kansas last week decided that they wanted their case to go to the IARP. Do you know where we are in that situation at the University of Memphis?
No, because there's absolutely no precedent to it whatsoever. So now it's Kansas, North Carolina State, and Memphis that are in there. And a lot of people are saying, in the wake of Oklahoma State getting hit with that 1-year postseason ban, a lot of people are saying that their compliance department should have pushed for that case to be resolved by the IARP. Instead, they went with the traditional route, and now they're challenging it. So that's the one benefit that a team like Oklahoma State gets is they can challenge when the decision comes from the Committee on Infractions like it traditionally would. However, the IARP is a little bit more risky in the sense that you cannot challenge whatever that ruling is, and there is no precedent yet. So in terms of their timeline, there's no precedent. In terms of how harsh they are, there's no precedent. But I will say Kansas wanted to go through that process. And I can't remember specifically at Memphis if the folks at Memphis pushed for and wanted to go through the IARP, but something tells me that there's a reason why Kansas wanted to go through that process. And there must be an idea floating around out there in the minds of some of these athletic directors that the IARP process is going to be more favorable than the typical Committee on Infractions process. Because otherwise I can't fathom why, with no precedent, they would want to go through this independent panel. So I think maybe the fact that Kansas wanted to go through it, maybe that's a good sign for Memphis. Maybe the Kansas folks have an inkling or an understanding about the way this is going to work that hasn't been made public yet. And maybe they'll be a little bit more lenient with these 3 schools that are the first to go through it.
David, what about this? Maybe why not try the IARP? Because what do you got to lose? Because you know what's going to happen with the other one.
I don't know. I just feel like it's so risky to not have the opportunity to appeal. I mean, I think I saw today, I think Missouri was able to get a postseason ban for a few of its sports overturned through the appeal process, you know? So, like, you always sort of have that appeal to fall back on in the other route. But, I mean, we'll see. I guess, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I know there are some people out there who say there are conflicts of interest even on this supposedly independent panel. But I guess you'll be able to live with whatever decision that body comes down with because they aren't ultimately the exact, you know, same old good old boy system. It's at least has a little bit more legitimacy to it in terms of, you know, it actually being independent. So, I mean, yeah, what does Memphis have to lose by going through it? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I guess I would think that they would want to have, you know, the findings on that case released by the upcoming basketball season. But it's the NCAA, and again, there is no precedent with this panel. And so Memphis, for better or worse, is kind of the guinea pig, along with NC State and Kansas. But I would expect Memphis's case to get resolved before Kansas's case because I think Kansas's case is more complicated. And I don't know about NC State's, but Memphis could very well be the first program to have a resolution through that process.
Last thing for David Cobb from CBS Sports. David, 1 week from today, we were supposed to be hearing from Greg Sankey in his annual State of the SEC at SEC Media Days. That would have been at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. We're not going to hear from him next week. When do we hear from him?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, the ACC has an event tentatively on the schedule for a couple weeks from now. But if Sankey's the timeline that Sankey laid out in his congressional testimony last week is accurate, he doesn't necessarily expect for there to be a firm sort of plan of action in place until the last week of July anyway. So I don't know why they would trot him out before the cameras and trot the coaches out before the cameras only for the plan to change a few days later. So, I mean, it could very well be August before they do anything resembling media days because, you know, it's going to be virtual. So you don't have to take, you know, an entire day to fly down to Birmingham or Atlanta or wherever and do it. You could do it between two-a-days. Or I guess, you know, we don't really do two-a-days anymore, but if you're just, you know,
That's
grabbing
right.
your players and doing it on campus, I mean, who's to say that you couldn't do it during the middle of August, you know, if you're practicing? So I would be surprised if it's this month, to be honest.
David, thank you so much for your time today, and we will visit again next week and maybe we know we'll be a week closer to some clarity about college football and its status for 2020. Thank you, David.
Either way, we'll be a week closer to football.
Yeah, hopefully.
We think so.
All right.
At some point, we'll be a week closer, whether it's in 40 weeks or whether it's in 8 weeks. Thank you, David.
Exactly right. Thanks, Seth.
Thanks, David.
You got it. David Cobb with us every Monday, and we love having David. You can follow him on Twitter at David W. Cobb. He's with CBS Sports covering college football and college basketball. Now, I'm with David on the decision by McCour Maker, and I think a lot of us would like to see more players maybe go, and I think it'd be easier for them to do it and have an impact in college basketball because, again, those conferences, a lot of those conferences for the historical black colleges and universities, they play to punch that ticket for that probably one bid league, a lot of them to go to the NCAA tournament. I don't think you'll ever see the day Leonard Fournette decides to go to Southern University instead of LSU.
No, I don't. I think that the top 50 guys are probably always going to go to the top 50 programs that those guys always traditionally do. And, obviously as a Memphis fan, I'd love for all of them to go to the University of Memphis, but I think that it would be better for the sport to have more continuity from the top to the bottom, to have more competitive games when, I remember, I think we played Memphis has played Southern. We had Florida A&M in, I think 2 years ago.
Opening night last year against South Carolina State.
South Carolina State, Tennessee State, Jackson State. Memphis has played pretty much all of them up and down throughout the southeast region of the United States. I would love for those to be more competitive games and to kind of know somebody on that other team.
Until you lose that somebody to them in recruiting.
Well, yes, I say that now that I want, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, but until it's my goose, let's hold off.
And with a change of scheduling philosophy, the University of Arkansas has changed that they will now play in-state schools in some sports. Like they will play the University of Arkansas at Little Rock because that's in the same system as the University of Arkansas flagship campus at Fayetteville. They're going to play in football UAPB in a few years. Everybody likes it until the top flight quarterback signs with UAPB instead of the Razorbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody likes the in-state the games to play against quote unquote little brothers until little brothers ultimately get a win in some form or fashion. So, and
if you play them long enough, they will win.
It will. It's eventually going to happen. There's going to be a 96 for everybody.
That's right. It will be, and then it will be repeated through the years. We're going to break. When we come back, we'll visit with John Varlas from the Daily Memphian and also David Wolf. He's the head soccer coach at Houston High. We will talk about the ongoing tug-of-war with the TSSAA for high school athletics. John Varlas and David Wolf next on Sportstime.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hertz. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace is the only national retailer that carries Benjamin Moore paint, which means the paint you trust and a huge selection of colors are right in your neighborhood. And right now, when you buy a sample of Benjamin Moore paint, we'll give you $5 off your next paint purchase. So if you're looking for award-winning service and a new look for your home, look no further than Benjamin Moore paint at Ace. Offer valid on gallons of Benjamin Moore, Clark & Kensington, and Royal Paint. Limit one $5 coupon on 1 gallon purchase at participating Ace stores only. See store for additional details and exclusions.
Summer is open, and Lowe's is home for the 4th of July. We're making backyards everywhere the best place to be this holiday, and we're starting from the ground up. Get 5 bags of premium mulch for $10. And for a finishing touch, get select annuals hanging baskets, 2 for $10. This year, we're home for the 4th. Visit Lowe's and make it the best it can be. Valid through 7/8 in-store only while supplies last. Selection varies by location, U.S. only, excluding Alaska and Hawaii.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave will be back with us next Monday, co-hosting with me today. Drew Barrett producing. Our friend Carl Morrison doing a great job on this Monday afternoon. We're going to talk with our friend John Varlas from the Daily Memphian, and John covers the prep scene with such thoroughness. And right now across the country, the battle with the state organizations like the TSSAA on the restart for everyone, some slower than others. John joins us now. We also have with us David Wolf, the head soccer coach at at Houston High School, and he's going to talk with us. John, we bring you in now. And John, a lot of places really getting clarity, getting marching orders on the restart. The TSSAA not as quick or not as promising.
Hey, yes, you're right about that, Stats. And first of all, thank you, man. Hope you guys are having a great day, and thank you for having Coach Wolf and I on. We really appreciate it. The problem with the TSSAA Stats is that this extending the executive order that the governor did a few days ago really threw them a curveball, pushing that emergency order all the way out to August 28th. That nulls and voids the start of the high school season, the regular start, which would have started August 17th for things like soccer and volleyball and golf, and then the first football Friday on August 21st. So as a result, they've had to adjust all that, and it's been it's going to be really interesting to see what they decide, because as Coach Wolf is prepared to tell you, man, there is serious concerns that coaches out there have, that parents have, that I have, and people in the know that keep up with high school sports. There's serious concerns about what these kids are actually going to go through if there's not a high school season, and I think this is something that the TSSAA, the individual school systems around the state, like Shelby County schools and Metro Nashville schools and Knoxville, all have to take a serious look at this stuff, because the negative impact that it could potentially have on some of these kids is really, really, really tough. It really is.
It is, and Coach Wolf is with us now from Houston High, and a lot of people don't understand this, but what starts the school year calendar, it's soccer. It's not football. It's football, but it's soccer, Coach Wolf, and I know you're concerned and you're losing valuable time.
Most definitely. I mean, there's so many different aspects to this. The first thing that was sort of interesting was that the governor categorized girls soccer in the same category that it did football. And when that point happened, and we were then going to be on their type of calendar from bringing us back into the fold. We are allowed to train, but we have to do essential things. We have to practice shooting, practice dribbling, practice passing, maintaining social distancing, of course, during this time period. But we really don't know what our calendar is going to look like. And so it's probably necessary for us to convey that to the kids as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, I completely understand the worriness of everything out there. And as far as soccer goes, especially at the high school level, how and I'm sorry if this sounds naive or uneducated on my part, but as far as strategy goes, how much does that actually play a part in soccer, to where you really not only have to work on the fundamentals, but have to work on the advanced stuff to really get ready for the season?
Well, it's like I would think that it's like basketball. You have to get used to where players are.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play together as a unit. There is in no way one person. You could take the best player in the world, put them on one field, and then if they're not playing as a unit, then they're probably not going to be successful. And so that takes time. It takes time, and it takes a lot of commitment on the girls' part. I mean, this is their life, There's no difference between them and football. Give you an example. You've got the Title IX aspect from a financial standpoint. There are a lot more college scholarships out there for women's soccer than there are men's soccer. And these people, this is a big deal. I mean, I had one girl who went to Vandy, and by the end of the whole thing, it was almost, it was $60,000 a year, $240,000 for the entire existence of her playing. And for her, that's as important as a six-figure contract when it comes to finances.
And
John, go ahead, John.
Yeah, and one thing that I thought it was important that Coach Wolf touched on that I wanted people to know that aren't aware, the governor did classify girls soccer and football as the same, in terms of training purposes. They consider it a contact sport. But what a lot of people in Shelby County, I think, don't realize is that also applies to boys and girls basketball. And you guys, I mean, I don't have to tell you at all how important basketball is around here. But the football kids, the soccer kids, and the basketball kids right now, it's just like Coach Wolf said. The only thing they can do is just the very, very basic, running, shooting, jumping, anything that requires non-contact, and it's creating an unlevel playing field in our area that the rest of the state, is not necessarily having to deal with in a lot of cases.
John, there's probably a misconception that the only reason that we want to get out there is to be able to play. One of the concerns that I have is that by not being part of your school organization and your school playing apparatus, that it is less safe than if you were to just go out there. I'll give you an example. I was playing golf at Fox Meadows last Friday, and I looked over at the park next to it, and all I see are about 28 kids out there playing 7v7 football, running drills with no shirts on, and they are playing bump and run coverage. If they were in their high schools doing that, they would then be able to be under their protocol, right? You have the trainers who are going to make sure that the place is safer. You're going to make sure that the administrators are going to be everybody is trained to be able to make sure that they are safe.
John, what state in our area do you think has gotten it right in leading on a restart plan?
Well, that's a good question, Stats. I think Mississippi is doing it well. I mean, I even saw here in 2 weeks' time that Mississippi is going to have their high school basketball all-star game, and they're actually going to have fans in attendance.
they're having it at the gymnasium down at Mississippi College, and I think they've got it limited to where it's going to be 25% capacity, but that's still going to be 750 to roughly 1,000 people allowed into the gym. So I mean, Mississippi is it seems like they're well in advance of it. You look at a state like Texas, for example, where if you look at strictly the COVID numbers, I mean, Texas is having so much more issues than Tennessee's ever had. But Texas is moving full speed ahead with football and the rest of their fall sports. Georgia as well, they're doing 7-on-7. And to reiterate and piggyback on what Coach Wolf was saying too, obviously he and I have a vested interest in getting these kids on the field because of our professions. We're locked into this. This is our life. But the parents, the kids themselves, surveys are out there. They surveyed all the soccer people, and 78% of the parents, were in favor of having a season. I think it was less than 10% were in favor of canceling the season. So I mean, the need and the desire is there. We Coach Wolf and people like him, they just need the proper guidance and a roadmap to say, hey, how can we do this safely? And then give them the tools and then let them do what they do.
Well, the thing is that not everybody has to play. Okay, if your family or you feel uncomfortable playing, at no point should you be asked or required to come in and play. This is an extracurricular, and it's these parents, like John said, these parents are like, we need to get these kids back into what they do, because not only are you going to lose. So let's say this drags on for 2 or 3 years, 2 years, whatever. And what you're going to see is that the mental stability of these kids is going to really not be as solid as the previous generations. And if you lose this group of kids, then what you're going to do is also lose the kids of this group of kids. Because what happens is they now pass that on to the next generation. And it isn't necessary. That's the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem necessary, Coach Wolf. Are the coaches unified in this? Could there be a show of force to lobby the governor, to lobby the TSSAA?
Well, there's 3 basic options that they're going to vote on the 8th of July. The first, what everybody's sort of hoping is that the governor is going to reclassify high school sports into the same area as college sports and then professional sports. And like I said, regarding the finances, this is pretty important for these kids, and there's a financial aspect to it too. That is what we would want to happen. If that didn't happen, what we would like to do is just push the season back. Make sure that, okay, we start September 1st when the order elapses. Hopefully the governor doesn't extend it, and then we go ahead and we would then move into November. The third option, which is one that nobody really wants, but it's the worst possible we still play plan, and that is that we would then shorten the season. And then the last is that they would just cancel the season altogether. And if you cancel the season, I know firsthand what kind of impact it had on a group of boys in the spring. Now, I was the first person in the area who canceled our season in the boys because I was not sure of what was on the table with the COVID virus. I had no idea. I wasn't learned about it. I had no idea. So what I did was I canceled our season from that point on, and then ultimately the governor cancels the rest, and the TSSAA cancels the rest of the season. Okay. Once that occurred, and we learned more about it, I witnessed what happened to our boys' team. I mean, and if you think that they're not going to go play somewhere, you are so mistaken. My kids were running around from different park to different park just trying to get a game in. And now they're playing with some college players. They're playing with some adult league players. I mean, it's almost as if it's prohibition and you're trying to sneak in a drink. And they're going to find their drink, I promise you.
And we know how that ended. Coach Wolf, thank you for your time and your very reasonable explanation of this, and we'll be watching the decisions made. You said the 8th. That's 2 days from now. That's on Wednesday,
Yeah, it is.
And we'll be watching that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a good day.
Thank you. And John Varlas, you know we appreciate you, and I am scared to death. I don't see any way that those early August football games go off, will they?
Well, I don't. It's going to be tough, and July 8th, Wednesday is going to be really key because there's going to be a TSSAA Board of Control vote, and that vote is going to tell us what our football season is going to look like. We have 3 options on the table: a 7-game regular season with full playoffs, an 8-game regular season with the top 2 teams in each region advancing to the playoffs, and then a 9-game regular season with just the region champions advancing to the playoffs. So either way, you're looking at 12 weeks worth of games. Depending on, hopefully the state of emergency doesn't get extended. If it doesn't, the goal is to start any one of those plans on September 18th. We'd finish up at roughly the same time because you're basically taking 3 games off the schedule. But yeah, that's where we're looking at. It's a huge day, and I really hope, like Coach Wolf was saying, I really hope the governor takes into consideration the physical and mental well-being of these high school kids and possibly grants them the exceptions that they've done to allow the college and the pro guys to work out. It would really simplify things a lot if he did that.
It would, John. We hope so, too, and we will stay in touch with you and catch back up with you as all this develops. Thank you, John Varlas. Love the work.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much, Dad.
Thanks, John.
Thank you very much. John Varlas with us from the Daily Memphian. And, Drew, it's here. High school a little sooner than college. There's no more runway. It's decision-making time.
Yeah, it is. And, I completely agree with Coach Wolf saying – especially how he ended it. If you don't think that these kids are going to go out there and try to find games, then you're absolutely crazy. Because for a lot of them, this is what they do. It's what they do year round. For me, while I did play football, I still played baseball in the fall. I played it during the spring and summer. Only not even really taking off in the Decembers and Januaries, going inside to some type of facility. It's what I did, and if I couldn't have done it, it would have driven me absolutely insane, and I would have done anything I could to find a mound or a field somewhere to continue to play. So I think Coach Wolf and John Varlas is exactly right. These kids are going to play regardless, so let's make sure we keep them as safe as possible.
Let it be structured.
Let it be structured. Let them get into these facilities where they know it's clean. Let them get onto these fields around people that they know have possibly have more than likely already been tested and come back negative. Let's take away the question work out of this situation and make it as safe as possible, because they're going to play regardless.
They are going to play regardless, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to see the vote on, or the decision made on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, July 8th, as we are getting into decision-making time. There's no more kicking the can for a lot of these sports, and for the fall sports, the time is upon us. The time for us will run out for the rest of this hour. We close it out after this break. You're listening to Sportstime.
R&R on sports.
The word is out about R&R on sports, where you've heard interviews from Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more. R&R on sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive? Take the car for a couple of days if you want. Streamlined buying process. You're not going to be there all day. In and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi. The first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Are you tired of staring at that dent? At Mako, getting collision repaired is as easy as book, quote, fix. Come to Mako for a collision repair backed by our best price guarantee. Uh-oh? Better get Mako.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We mentioned earlier the news of the Memorial Tournament set for next week at Muirfield Village. It was going to be limited fans. Governor Mike DeWine has now scrapped that. There will be no fans at Jack Nicklaus's tournament next week and none this week at Muirfield Village at his course for the Workday Charity Classic. And we know the week after that there will be no fans in Minneapolis at the TBC of Twin Cities. And then that puts Memphis and the WGC FESJI up next. And we're expecting, I don't think it will come as any shock with that. The Japanese baseball leagues are starting to allow fans back, and they have had a fatality rate of 5.0%, but much less cases and much less illness per million in population. We're at 405 deaths. They're around 7.5, 8. I mean, single digits in per million. We're at 4.4% in fatality rates, but Japanese baseball league's about to allow fans back, and they are more in a mask culture than we are, even for seasonal flu and respiratory stuff. They are it's more ingrained in them to do that every year, and we're not. Maybe we are getting there.
Yeah, maybe we are. You know, it's not very shocking that countries like South Korea and Japan are able to start having somewhat of fan interaction in their baseball and professional sports, just like you said, due to the fact that they're kind of used to every year around said flu season that they mask
because that
up.
Density.
Yeah,
because that density. They don't have the wide open spaces like we have.
I mean, half the country is basically New York City, where everybody is on
top of each other.
There isn't any room for rural Kansas on the islands of Japan. People are on top of each other, and they realize how fast disease and viruses spread, and they just are ingrained at much younger age than a lot of us about the dangers of viruses and things and the importance of wearing a mask. And, you know, I personally would not mind that going forward if it saves one person's flu life for during 5-6 weeks of the flu. We go back to somewhat of mandatory masks, kind of where we are now. You know, it's not really punishable if you don't have one. It's put into law that you're supposed to have one, that businesses can turn you away if you don't have one. And if it helps one person, I say it's worth it.
Yeah, but here's the deal on that. We're told now that the mask is really me protecting you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm scared of catching the flu going to FedEx Forum on the 10th of February to a game against the Milwaukee Bucks on a Tuesday night, of course, that's when it used to be when they were bad, but now it's a good game. So if I've got it on and you don't, what good of it is me having it on?
Well, I think it's more of just personal feeling of you feel better with it on, and even though it's probably not as protective of you getting it, like I said earlier, when I was going through the scare of over the weekend of am I ever going to show symptoms? If I do end up having it, am I asymptomatic? I was much more worried about giving it to somebody else. I was much more worried about protecting you and protecting all the other great citizens here in the 901, that I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to have any interaction with people because I'm more worried about you than I am me. And I think if we as a society can take that type of mentality and that stance to where we are going to start being more worried about our neighbors and just common people that we pass on the street or at these games, then it will ultimately help. But until we can get about at where they wanted about two-thirds of the population wearing them at all time, until we can get to about 70% of people on board, then it really wouldn't make a difference.
And this news, Matt Murschel, that we had on with us last week, Hawaii, the latest FBS team facing scheduling challenges after Fordham from the FCS. Fordham has announced that it will not play its September 12th game at Hawaii. That's a pretty good check and pretty good trip for the Fordham people, but Hawaii is particularly locked down and a hot spot, and they're not going to go. We're going to see a lot more of that over the next few weeks, and it may ultimately build to we don't have not only an on-time college football start, but not have one at all. Mm-hmm. I don't want to risk the in the large, in the macro, people health and people being ill whatsoever. But also know you better prepare yourself and be ready for what it looks like when we start to go back after we've missed it, that if we could have had it at all, even limited, and staved off some of these budget disasters, because when we go back, I hope everybody's got the same, even the same school that we had, much less the athletics department, because it's going to hit everyone. Last week I mentioned $13.7 million cut out of the athletics department at Oklahoma. If Oklahoma's cutting that, what do you think some others are cutting?
They have to be cutting the exact same, or maybe more, just depending on how big the size of their budget is. Not a lot of schools have the same amount of budget as a University of Oklahoma, but it's going to hit everybody, and you just hope and pray that it impacts you the least out of anybody.
Because when it settles out, it could be very grim, and it's already been grim on the health front. That is without a single doubt. Hour 2 in the books. We start Hour 3 next with Alan Bell from CBS Sports talking the NFL.
Are you tired of staring at that dent? At Mako, getting collision repaired is as easy as book, quote, fix. Come to Mako for a collision repair backed by our best price guarantee. Uh-oh? Better get Mako.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference. Like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here to help, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, 24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace is the only national retailer that carries Benjamin Moore paint, which means the paint you trust and a huge selection of colors are right in your neighborhood. And right now, when you buy a sample of Benjamin Moore paint, we'll give you $5 off your next paint purchase. So if you're looking for award-winning service and a new look for your home, look no further than Benjamin Moore paint at Ace. Offer valid on gallons of Benjamin Moore, Clark & Kensington, and Royal Paint. Limit one $5 coupon on 1 gallon purchase at participating Ace stores only. See store for additional details and exclusions.
Hi,
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me for Sidelines, Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. on Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1 FM. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, recruiting. Hey, if they keep score, we're covering it. Check us out on the website at sports56whbq.com and sidelines.live. Sidelines is brought to you by Duncan Williams Asset Management. Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Get up and give us a call.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Have you noticed your air conditioning system struggling to keep up this summer? It may just need a tune-up. Good news, it's super tune-up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a free on-leak check. That's right, Conway Services exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-up for only $69 with a free on-leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If you have an air conditioner that leaks Freon every year, with Conway Services Super Tune-up, we'll include a free leak check. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And call this week, and we'll do your super tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave will be back next Monday. Drew with me all this week. I know I said that a week ago today, but little did I know that the virus would enter into our world with Drew, but he's hale and hearty. Negative test, he's fine. All protocols taken and all safety measures taken, and I'm glad Drew is back with us. Alan Bell from CBS Sportsline will join us after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road at 5704 Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales, 662-890-7184. Go online and check out all the very, very, very happy referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. All the cars checked out, head to toe, bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. At DeSoto Auto Sales, were no shortcuts ever. Always treated like family, though, by the kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment, and they care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today. It's a crazy world, isn't it? They know we live in a world today that time really matters. And you walk in, within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to do it over your lunch hour or like right now, immediately after work. Check out the referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. DeSoto Auto Sales, that town and country experience down in DeSoto County. Come on down and enjoy it at DeSoto Auto Sales. We love talking the NFL. We love talking all sports with Alan Bell. And there's a player now with the Kansas City Chiefs. Every single dinner tab, the rest of his life, they just slide the check right over to Mr. Mahomes, MVP of the Super Bowl, don't they, Alan Bell?
They sure do. First, I appreciate you having me back on. And you're right. After you sign a $450 million contract, yeah, you're going to be picking up a few dinner tabs here and there. It's so awesome, man. I mean, I think Mahomes is one of, think about in sports, across all the leagues of a player that everyone likes. You know what I mean? Like, even the rivals like the kid. It's just awesome for him.
Yes, they do. And last week we did our first half of 2020 Sports Stories of the Year, and everything is so virus intensive. But the Kansas City Chiefs on that third down, that pass he made, that was the linchpin play of winning that Super Bowl for them the first time since Hank Stram and Lenny Dawson did it for them.
Yeah, it really was. And think about what Patrick Mahomes has done. I mean, not only that, he's he's already second in Chiefs all-time history for quarterbacks with playoff wins. He's 28-8 in his career and has never lost a game by more than 7 points. Think about that. I mean, the guy is just incredible. He is the ultimate always give your team a shot, to win a ball game. it's a lot of money, and he's worth every penny of it.
Yeah,
he earned it.
Yeah, Alan, he definitely is worth every penny of that, and never have to worry about another thing, at least financially, in his life, especially with the $140 million guarantee if he unfortunately gets injured. But I think we can come to the conclusion that as of right now, Patrick Mahomes is this generation's Tom Brady. Who in the NFL right now is his Peyton Manning, though?
That's a good question. A lot of people might say Lamar Jackson, another quarterback, is going to stack up a lot. Himself also, an opportunity to win titles. But we're going to see, because Mahomes is he's just better than everybody. I mean, he's the LeBron James of the NFL. Really, to keep up with the guy. But yeah, I mean, say that Lamar Jackson would be the closest one to fit that. Lamar Jackson's got some work to do. He still didn't want to play it, and Mahomes has already got 4.
Alan, we're having a little technical trouble with your phone. It was a few hiccups in there. If we could, are you in a good area?
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hear you much better now. Alan Bell with us from CBS Sports talking the NFL. He got paid. When's Dak Prescott get paid?
Well, it should be here pretty soon. The big thing with Dak's contract is just that 5th year, and it's going to be Dak the Cowboys to pay up. If they're going to lock him in for that extra year, so you would think that it should be pretty soon. But the clock is ticking. And they haven't really, made any progress in the last 5-6 months. Shoot, for a year now, almost. But absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've having a little technical difficulties there with Alan Bell, but while we see if we can't reconnect. Brett, when he talked about Lamar being kind of his Peyton Manning, that's kind of where I was trying to take him in that conversation, because of all the doubt that's been laid at Lamar's feet over the last few weeks about him having struggles in the playoffs, and I just don't get it. I mean, he's been a starter for. He's been a starter for. He hadn't been in the.
He hadn't been in. Okay, I was going to say 5. He hadn't been in the league 10 minutes. What is it? 2 playoff losses. Look, when it's 2 more, when it's 3 more, then we may have a story. But I think people need to slow way down on that. We're back with Alan Bell. I take the prospects of the future of Lamar Jackson in a second.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I hope you guys can hear me okay. I don't know what's going on with Nashville cell towers right now, but hopefully I sound a little bit better. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Lamar Jackson is going to win a lot of games. We're going to find out, how good he can be, because he's got a great team around him, too.
He's got a great team around him. He's got a coach that trusts him, and I think last year's MVP showed that. We go back to that draft for Patrick Mahomes, and the standout one is obviously the Chicago Bears in that draft. They had a couple of mistakes there. You can make a mistake in the draft that can make you forever and can break you forever. I know they didn't have a chance to pick him because Peyton Manning went number 1 to the Colts. But you go back to the Colts and Peyton and the Chargers with Ryan Leaf, and just how that defined, sadly, the Chargers and Ryan Leaf.
Oh, it absolutely did. I mean, it defined, legacies in a generation, right? And back to, Mahomes, give the Chiefs credit. Not only did they already have a starting quarterback in Alex Smith when they went to draft Patrick Mahomes, they traded up to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they traded up to do it. I mean, they trusted their scouts. They trusted their plan. That's a move that gets people fired if it doesn't work. And now look at them. They've got a Super Bowl. They got the MVP, and they just locked him up for the next 12 years. You got to give them credit, because it's not easy to make that decision, and they absolutely went 100% for it, and it paid off.
The NFL Players Association, they have voted to completely scrap all of the preseason games. We know the Hall of Fame game has been canceled. We know at least 2 games officially canceled. The Players Association, they want to scrap it all. It will affect teams and players for a long time on the field, to not win a job, to not maybe be that camp darling, and who knows, go on to a great and very profitable, formidable career. But it also will affect early on, if we play in September, the style of play. Those first few weeks, if not all of September, Alan, could look really ragged.
Yeah, they really could. And, you're right. First off on, the opportunities for guys who are, numbers 54 to 90. And it might even change the roster sizes that teams go in. It might go from 90 to 80 players or maybe even shorter. So it's certainly going to affect those guys. But you're right. It's also going to have a huge effect on what, the games look like early on. Teams that have, offenses that return a lot of starters, including the quarterback, offensive line, it's going to be very important. Teams that run the ball, play defense, that's what travels in the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, it could, weeks 1 through 4, could look all kinds of wild, and it gives an opportunity, for teams that might be underdogs to go in and steal a game or two.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that myself there, Alan. Who's a team that you actually think that no preseason and kind of less practice it might actually benefit?
Well, the Tennessee Titans are going to be one because, you've got basically you're returning your entire starting offense. You've got your quarterback, you've got your offensive line, you've got your running back, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. I mean, you don't have to really change anything. Everybody knows what the deal is and what they have to do. Really teams like that. I think the Las Vegas Raiders, might see a little bit of a benefit that they've got, not only a quarterback coming back, but you've got young players, right? Like, I think the teams that have, players that are 25, 24, 23 years old, they can bounce back of a summer that they really haven't had, the normal, amounts of practice, et cetera, things like that. Look to teams that have very veteran, older style players. It might take, a few games to come out of the gate. They could be a little rusty, but if you got a pretty, young team, they're not going to be affected too terribly much. So there's going to be a lot of lines in Vegas that could look a little odd and crazy. And there could be some teams that steal 2, 3, 4 wins when they, in normal circumstances where they probably shouldn't have.
I'll take odd-looking, crazy Vegas odds if we have them. But you're seeing today the New England Patriots announcing. I said earlier, it's the headline: "Man bites dog." It's unbelievable. Anything around professional sports, anything around college sports, free. They're going to allow free parking. We're hearing about the stadium setup of the first few rows will have paid advertising cordon off the fans. Nobody's going to be leaning over the rail. Alan, I hope we have football. Are we going to have football? Should we have football?
We're going to have football, barring any type of, severe catastrophe. We're going to have football, at least the NFL. College football, has a much larger, kind of barrier to entry than the NFL does. But we're going to have football. Now, what it looks like could be quite different. I mean, just like you said, there's going to be limited numbers of fans, if there even are fans. And what does the NFL do? Because every, team, every city, every state seems to be different. So, are they going to allow competitive advantages and disadvantages to where, say the Denver Broncos can have 75% of their fans in the stands and the New England Patriots can have 0%, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how that's going to go, but yeah, I mean, the NFL is going to have football. I mean, they're going to do it. College is going to be tough. There's just no governing body. Every state is different, not to mention schools are tied to government. They're tied to states, and they get a lawsuit that could shut down things. And it's really, with scheduling, it could be a domino effect. But they're going to do everything they can to have it. I assure you that.
Yeah, the NFL. It's too big and worth too much not to go off. And staying there in New England before to today with the Patrick Mahomes contract extension, the biggest buzz around the NFL has been Cam Newton signing the 1-year deal with the Patriots. As of right now, how do you think he's going to work out in New England?
I think he's going to be all right. I mean, you've got a guy who, he looks healthy. Seemingly he's healthy. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. I think he's going to be better, much better comparatively than Jarrett Stidham, a guy who hasn't played that we don't know. But again, New England, The hard part for them is that they have, issues at the skill position. They have issues at the offensive line position. This is not a great team, per se, of what we've seen from former Patriots teams. So that's going to be the hardest thing for them. But, Cam Newton, if he's healthy, the guy's a winner. The guy can play. Obviously, he's been, an NFL MVP. I think they'll be all right.
I think they'll be all right, too. A team that it obviously will hurt, no preparation, and they've tried to sneak around and prepare. It's Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that offensive line's loaded. That defense is loaded. I love his receivers. I love that acquisition. I don't know that it necessarily would be the nexus to them being even in the NFC Championship game, much less the Super Bowl, but I think a playoff team, this has really had to hurt.
Yeah, you're right. I think Tampa can be as good as they want to be. But the hard part, like you said, is that there's so many NFC teams that are going to be good. Their division is going to be good. They're not even the favorite to win that, right? And you're going to have, just so much more high-level talent in terms of teams that are in the NFC. But you know what? You bring Tom Brady to any team, the guy's going to change things around. He's looking to win. You add Rob Gronkowski to an already kind of loaded offense. They're going to have a shot.
I think that division is one of the really underappreciated, heated, hated rivalry divisions. Those teams, there's no love lost.
No, there's not at all. Saints fans hate Falcons fans. Falcon fans hate Saints fans. They hate the Bucs. And they're going to, certainly want to take all their shots they can at the Panthers. You're right. The NFC South, there's a ton of hatred that goes around.
Mm-hmm. And let's kind of just want to stay in that division, especially with Atlanta, who has not really bounced back since the Super Bowl. How well do you think they're going to do this year, especially as we are starting to see somewhat of an aging Matt Ryan?
Well, here's the thing. They have to be good, or otherwise they're going to be looking for a new head coach and a new general manager. First off, let's just understand that they're going to throw everything that they have, caution to the wind. They're coming out as aggressive as possible because there really is no tomorrow, for their, coach, GM, really their entire front office. How good they can be. They've got talent. You've got a Matt Ryan. You added Todd Gurley. You've got pieces there. You've got, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. You have talented players. But the biggest thing is going to be their defense. Now, we saw at the end of last year, they really turned things around and looked good. Is that going to be something that carries over? Do they continue that momentum, or do they kind of start over? And, in the NFL, 1 year, doesn't, equate success to the next. But you could certainly do it. We'll see. I think that they're going to be pretty good, just because everyone knows, what's on the line. There just is no tomorrow for a lot of them there.
Alan, I know somewhere in our conversations and all the restart plans and will we get back, we talked the NHL and we talked the possibility. And at one time, I think we really thought the probability that Nashville would be one of the hub cities. Well, nobody in the United States won out. The two hub cities will both be in Canada.
Yeah, they will. And you know what? It makes sense looking back on it now, just because
it does.
Not only the COVID situation, but you look at, barriers, between countries, right? The United States, Canada, just having them, both hubs in one country makes a lot of sense. You don't have to travel borders, and add on what's already going to be so difficult for these teams, to navigate. And you know what? I'll say this, good for Canada, because that, the Canadians love this sport, obviously, not that Americans don't, but it's something really cool for them, and certainly we'll all be watching as well. Makes a lot of sense, but you know what? I'm excited to see it. It's going to be a ton of fun.
1993, the last time a Stanley Cup champion from Canada, I think. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Now, I don't know if they're going to get that, but they'll at least host the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, they will. And I want to ask you about Nashville going into the restart. Obviously, before everything got shut down, they were playing some of their best hockey of the season. Were able to kind of secure a playoff spot in this restart. How well do you think they're going to do out of the gate?
Yeah, that's one of the best questions out there in terms of the NHL because you've got, essentially a brand new head coach, who was just getting started. So, they started playing, much better hockey than they were to begin the season. But then again, you look at it and say, okay, is this going to be something that helps this team or does it hurt this team? I think you've got a head coach, obviously, who's extremely motivated. You've got a GM in David Poile who is extremely motivated. And I bet they've been just crunching tape constantly trying to figure out. So I think that the Preds are going to be all right. They've got a shot, and I think anybody really, that gets into this playoff format is going to have a shot because who knows how some of these players are going to come back. We've had players that have been overseas, international, who's kept up, with their cardio game, who's kept up with practice, who hasn't. This is good. This is a precedent that we've never seen before. But you know what? I've got faith in the Predators. They've been pretty good in the playoffs, and they can make a run again.
Alan, all three of us are gigantic baseball fans. I still say it's my favorite of everything. I mean, it's just barely over college football, but it is. It may be losing some of its steam, and just to the shock of no one, even the restart plans, the testing. It's just the Wild West out there with no organization at all from baseball, and no surprise. It is so lacking of leadership. The famous Buster Olney percentages last week, 5% they start, 0 they finish. I'm a little better than both of those, but not much better.
Yeah, I'm better than that too. I'm with you. I think if they start, they're going to finish this thing. Now, we don't know what it's going to look like. We're already seeing players opting out, and understandable. I totally get it. You look at a guy like Mike Trout, which he hasn't opted out. But he's just been thinking about it. But, he's going to have his wife's going to have their first child here pretty soon. So it's something that, everybody's going to have to think about. But I think if they start this thing, they're going to finish it. But you know what? I mean, it's one of those where it could just look completely different than what we thought. But you know what? I'm excited. I'm excited to see what a Major League Baseball season looks like with, 60 games. It's almost going to be like we just jump right into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to look like. And as an Orioles fan, heck, maybe my team can catch lightning in the bottle for 6
break up those
games, and we can get our first title since '83. But real quick, as we are starting to run a little bit low on time, I do want to bring it back to the National Football League. And another thing that's been in the news is the name change for Washington. I know you probably don't have an opinion, but if you did, what name would you kind of want to see the Washington team take?
Yeah, it's a great question. You look at it and say, okay, what makes a lot of sense? What is a name that can honor everyone, but still keep that tradition that's been with DC. Warriors is obviously, I think, the betting favorite by far. That certainly makes sense not only to honor Native Americans. That community, but the military community as well. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. I kind of like the thought of the Americans, where you have like the Washington Nationals in Major League Baseball, the Washington Americans in football. I think that would be pretty cool. But, yeah, I think Warriors is probably going to get it. It seems like that would be the favorite.
Now, do they go wholesale with everything? The name's gone. Will they change the complete color scheme and everything?
No, I think that they'll try to keep, everything as much as possible, and if you go to the Warriors, you really don't have to change it at all. You could actually go back, to those, kind of burgundy dark uniforms that they had like the 60s and 70s.
They look like Florida State.
The arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the arrow on the helmet, you could go right into that. And you don't have to change much at all. I think that would be really, really cool, and that would be a way, to kind of ease your way into it instead of just, completely changing everything about the organization.
Alan Bell, thank you for your time. The wherever you got in the second cell tower was much better than the first one, but we appreciate you nonetheless. Thank you so much for your time.
Man,
we really do.
You guys. Yeah, thank you. Apologies, for the cell issue.
No worries.
To begin, but glad we could finish strong. That's all that matters. So
you got it. We came down the stretch like secretary. Thank you, Alan Bell. Thanks, Alan. We do appreciate it. And Daniel Snyder he's got on the books. He wants to build a new stadium in the district on the site of RFK Stadium, the venerable site of Hail to Old DC. You can hear that fight song and that pep band playing right now, and those fans in the stands. I don't know if it's retractable roof, though. I would imagine it would, and I think it should be, because everybody that rolls out the new stadium now, one of the big hooks to getting public financing and the community really behind it is, you'll host a Super Bowl someday, and they're not gonna, they would have no local support whatsoever in the district with that name, and that name's gone. But if they move on that site, and I don't know if FedEx would get back with them then, but whatever corporate name that they properly would have on it, I wish they could incorporate this. If it were FedEx Stadium at RFK Field.
That would be really cool, especially if that's where they're going to build it. But you're exactly right. He's not going to get any public funding, and neither should he really expect it or be mad about it with that name until he comes off of his high horse and it changes his stance and quit just
it's gone.
Just
he's
saying
gonna change
that I'm not going to do it until he changes it and can kind of understand the world and the climate that we're in right now. If I was a taxpayer from DC, I wouldn't want to give him a single dime to help build a new stadium. And once he does change that, then let's get the retractable roof. Let's that way
host a Super Bowl in our nation's capital. A Super Bowl, that would be fun.
And it's known to get kind of cold in DC. I think a lot of fans would be fine having retractable roof, and during December and January can go to a game and not have 20 coats on.
Washington, D.C., just like St. Louis, it gets every ounce of summer and every ounce of winter. I mean, they get it all. But on that site, because there were some great teams and great games all time played there, but you would never host a Super Bowl there. They got away with that one outdoor cold weather Super Bowl in New York City in 2014. I don't think they're going to risk that again. And Drew, you know what? If Washington, D.C., with a retractable roof stadium hosted a Super Bowl and your Ravens got in it, that would be like a home game.
Oh yeah, I mean it's right down the road. It's right in the turnpike there. Without traffic, I think it takes about an hour to get.
But it's with traffic.
Yeah, but
it's always with traffic.
It's definitely with traffic. It ain't.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning, it might be that time. And what two places with that proximity could have had two of the worst owners in all of sport, with Peter Angelos with the O's and Daniel Snyder with Washington in the NFL? They don't even resemble the Jack Kent Cook, George Allen, Joe Gibbs years. It has been a mess. It's been a lot of head coaches, a lot of changes in systems, and now a change in the ownership group is Fred Smith and two other of the owners are going to sell out, and Daniel Snyder will be left by himself. He's a big boy. He's got plenty of money, but I bet he liked having those partners, and I know he liked having those advertisers like Nike, PepsiCo, and FedEx. The envy of the sports world to have any one of those three, but to lose all three. We round out this segment. When we come back, we will talk National College Football rankings of quarterback. I have my top 10. Drew has his top 10. We rank them next.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Napa Know-How.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping and over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $50 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa Know-How.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elders Roofing Solutions.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Hi folks, this is Dominic Kuhn, General Manager here at Sunrise on the Pike. I want to invite you to the Sunrise Annual Tent Sale going on right now. Thinking about a new or used car or truck and not sure where to get the most for your money? Come to Sunrise on the Pike. More than 1,000 Buicks and GMCs to choose from. The majority priced at employee pricing. You heard right, employee pricing. That means you pay what we pay. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay? That's okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing. If you got a job, you're approved at Sunrise, the home of the guaranteed credit approval. See us online at sunriseonthepike.com.
Blood and plasma donations are more important than ever. People all around the world still depend on the medicine your plasma helps make. That's why Interstate Blood Bank and Plasma Biological Services are open and will remain open for our donors. The United States government has declared blood and plasma donation as a critical infrastructure industry. That means healthy donors are allowed to travel to and from donation centers regardless of any stay-at-home mandates in your area. We need you to keep donating so that we can continue to manufacture these life-saving medicines. We understand that you may be concerned about COVID-19. The health and safety of our donors and our employees remain a top priority. To limit the spread of the virus, we're taking additional measures to ensure our centers are safe and clean. Donating now is more important than ever, but please do not come to the center to donate if you are not feeling well or have a sore throat, fever, cough, or shortness of breath. We are doing our part so that you can do yours. Come donate today at one of our IBBI or PBS locations across the Memphis area.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Tomorrow at this time, we will rank our top 10 NFL quarterbacks. It won't take long for the world's richest football player to be listed tomorrow. Patrick Mahomes will be pretty quick on that list. We will do our top 10 NFL tomorrow. Also, we're going to have Ron Tillery back with us. He was with us last Tuesday. We'll visit with Bo Marchand as we do every week, along with Brent Beard, the regulars on Tuesday, and Daryl Smith from the WGC FESJI will be with us at 3:30 as they are making plans, getting ready for the World Golf Classic coming up at TPC Southwind. I think we know the direction it is heading on fans, and I think people will mostly and should be patient this year. Also this, Drew, I got a text from a friend of mine that asked me, and he said, I hadn't listened to every single second. Did y'all touch on last week? And we didn't. And I'm glad this person asked me this. And I don't think it's that germane to a lot and that big a deal. But this friend of mine asked me, did we touch on Ryan Silverfield's contract now no longer having paid for country club memberships in his contract? We didn't. I didn't think it was just an oversight more than anything else. But I don't think it's that big a deal, because used to it was such a hook in a lot of college basketball and football coaches to have that in there before they were making this kind of money. Now the money they're making, if you want to join a country club, write your own check.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even realize that it was in the contract until news last week that it was coming out. And you're exactly right. I mean, they make more money than most of us. And if Ryan Silverfield wants to go right down the street to Memphis Country Club, then he can definitely do it.
If they'll let him in, and I bet I don't know if they will. I'm not on the membership board, but if they'd like to, and then if they would like to extend something complimentary with the university or any university paying for that, I think is probably a thing of the past because they're making so much money now. If they want something like that, they can write their own check. All right, let's rank these college quarterbacks. We'll get around to Ryan Silverfield's quarterback, I think, in due time. 1 and 2 are probably most everybody's 1 and 2 across the country. I went with Trevor Lawrence, number 1 over Justin Fields, just out of that one head-to-head game last year, and he has won a title while Justin Fields hadn't at Ohio State. I wonder if Kirby Smart regrets losing. He's got to regret losing Justin Fields and out of the Georgia program to where he's going to be either the Heisman Trophy winner or the runner-up next year, and either the first player drafted next year or the second player drafted.
Yeah, Justin Fields will end up being a top 2 NFL pick, or possibly, I won't say top 2 because you never know who's going to be there and what really needs teams are going to have to fill. But he's definitely a
He'll
top
go
5
quick.
pick, definitely 1 or 2 quarterback right off the board. But I'm exactly with you. I got Trevor Lawrence at number 1, Justin Fields at 2, just due to the fact that Trevor Lawrence has done it for a little bit longer, for a whole
and more
year,
successfully,
and has won a title, and just has. And ultimately, the thing that put me over, he's got better hair. He's got better hair than Justin Fields. So that was my tiebreaker.
If that's the tiebreaker, heck, he wins that in anything for sure. But he did win that game against Ohio State. I thought most of last year Ohio State was the best team in the country. I thought for most of that game Ohio State was the better team in that game. And except for that disputed call, to the victor go the spoils. Look, Clemson won, and they played in the finals and got trounced by LSU. I thought Ohio State was really better most of the night in that game, but they didn't win the game. Trevor Lawrence won, Justin Fields 2. Number 3 for me, and I am the leader of the Memphis fan club for this player.
Oh, my
Ian
goodness.
Book. I think Ian Book's going to have that kind of big year if we have a college football season, and if you wanted one of those long shots over at Left Mempho to win the Heisman Trophy, I think Ian Book right now is 25-1. If somebody could be this year's Joe Burrow, he's got a chance to be it, and that offensive line in front of him, first, second, third best offensive line in the country. Alabama's O-line for sure will be in there in that conversation. Number 4, Sam Ehlinger at Texas. Number 5, Sam Howell at North Carolina, despite Phil Longo coaching him. Yes, that was a shot. Number 6, Tanner Morgan at Minnesota. He's rowing the boat for P.J. Fleck and the Gophers, and what a bowl performance he had against Auburn. Number 7, Keaton Slovis at USC. Number 8, Brady White at Memphis.
I'll take it. I have him actually at number 7 on my list, but I think that's very respectful to have him there. You check a lot of the national lists. I think the highest national list that I came across in doing some research, I knew what type of people I was going to put, just doing some research, kind of see the feel of everybody else out there. I think the highest I saw Brady White ranked today was about 12, I believe, kind of on the average at about 14 to 16 range for most national people. But I don't think you can really argue against having Brady White in 7 or 8.
Well, okay, if the argument against it, it's sure not his numbers.
No.
It's sure not the team numbers. So what would it be? And it shouldn't be a group of 5, because we've seen those quarterbacks emerge time and again out of that and be very successful either in the NFL or astounding college careers, and he's already had that. Number 9 for me, Kyle Trask, my first SEC quarterback, my only SEC quarterback, and number 10 on my list, if it will quieten down, and it has not been very quiet around his campus in a while, but the year he had last year, and usually this coach, and he played it well, and he has coached it well through the years. Mike Gundy gets good quarterback play, and I know one thing that can make you a really good quarterback is that tailback you got behind you at Oklahoma State. So number 10 for me, Spencer Sanders. I do not have any of the Oklahoma quarterbacks up there. One always seems to work on the list. Your top 10, Drew.
Yeah, I narrowed my list down to about, I think I had about 16 guys, and every single guy that you just listed off I have some different people. Like I said, number 1, I do have Trevor Lawrence. 2, Justin Field. I flip-flopped you. I have Sam Ehlinger at Texas, just because I feel like it's got to pan out for Sam Ehlinger.
It's time.
It's been so roller coasty of a career at Texas for him that it's just got to finally click and finally come out. And so
it's time for that. It's time for that head coach quarterback duo because they will either be remembered together for the good or they might be forgotten for not ever winning a whole lot.
Yeah. I just remember I think the Sugar Bowl against Georgia and how
when they were back
and how great they were, and they were back, and then they weren't back. So I mean, if they're going to officially Texas be back, it's going to fall on the shoulders of Sam Ehlinger.
I don't think you're ever back as long as you're having to say you're back.
Exactly.
When everybody else says you're back, that's when you're back. If you've got to protest too much, I don't think you're really back.
I don't think you are either if you're the one saying it. So I do have Ian Book from Notre Dame at number 4. At 5, I had to put him there because if I put him at my number 1 spot in the SEC, I think I've got to honestly think he's a top 10 quarterback in college football. And like I said then, I think he's got one of the best chance, in my opinion, to be this year's Joe Burrow. And a lot of people's opinion, I got Kellen Mond from Texas A&M at 6. I've got the
way too high.
I know.
Way too high.
I have to,
all of y'all are going to get burned by Kellen Mond.
I have to defend my decision from last week, so I've got to double down. I'm doubling down on it. At number 6, I got the transfer quarterback from the University of Houston, now playing for the U, De'Aaron King. I think if he can come back 100% healthy, I've seen what he can do in person. So if he can recreate that and build off that in the ACC, I think he'll do just a swell job. Then I've got 2 AAC quarterbacks. I do have Brady White at 7. At 8, I did take Shane Bruchel. Just the numbers that he's been able to put up, it doesn't look like he's going to slow down any from last year. So
I was close.
Number based, he's in there.
He was close to being my 10, and here was the dividing line for me, that bowl game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely understand that perspective.
And you know that's when Dave says bowl games don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it mattered to me from my perception of it.
Yeah, it does, and especially when that's the last thing you really remember about the guy. And having that impression going into an entire off-season, and an off-season that could be a lot longer than we're used to, that's not the taste you want to leave in people's mouth. But I did have him there at number 8. Then number 9 and 10, kind of fishing for who I think is going to be on the top 10 list at the end of the year. At number 9, have it coming off of a great freshman year under Herm Edwards out at Arizona State. I do have Jaden Daniels. He's got an incredible arm, can definitely move it on his feet. And then number 10, I fell for it like a lot of people have. I went with Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma just because he's the ideal Lincoln Riley type of guy. He's that Baker Mayfield, that Kyler Murray, that Jalen Hurts, that has the arm, but more importantly has the speed and the feet. I think only got like 8 reps last year during the regular season, but set to be their starter going into the 2020 season. I think he's got the offense and he's got the coach to set him up to have a great year like everybody else has at the University of Oklahoma. So I put him in my top 10 just so we can kind of go back at the end of when it's all said and done and see exactly how right I was and if he does pan out.
And Lincoln Riley has earned the accolades of coaching a quarterback, whether it was as a coordinator for a long time, but as a head coach. I mean, when you go back-to-back Heismans and have a great player like Jalen Hurts last year, I don't know why anybody would think they would have a big drop in Spencer Rattler. And if we have a college football season, Herman and Ehlinger versus Riley and Rattler, that will separate a lot from the Big 12. Well, it'll be an elimination game.
Yeah, it will, I think. And it will ultimately tell us who is better. Is Sam Ehlinger the quarterback that we thought he was going to be after that freshman year at Texas? Is it finally going to pan out for him? And if it's Texas that gets that win, we're going to start to have question marks of, well, maybe Lincoln Riley's success isn't just translatable to the next guy down the line. But I think Spencer Rattler is going to do a heck of a job in that system. Everything that I've seen and that I've read, I mean, just points to picture perfect Lincoln Riley quarterback.
2 basketball and 2 the Moussa Cisse decision that everybody expects this week, and now most everyone thinking it's overwhelming for the hometown team to keep the Lausanne product. 1 year there, state champion and shot blocker, rim defender extraordinaire. Raw on the offensive end, but I think most of his points next year probably would be stick backs and points around the rim. I don't think they're going to try to depend on him very much for jump shooting or extending the ball out. But what he will allow that team with already good perimeter defensive players, we know guys that can play. They can really gamble, and if they miss out around the free throw line, let them get to the rim and him block everything.
Yeah, I think it does afford you that type of gamble, especially with guys like Lester Quinones, who plays that scrappy, hard-nosed, go-for-it type of defense, where it did burn him a few times last year of going too hard.
And Damian Ball.
And exactly, Damian Ball. They're known to kind of take the risk and go for the steal so they can do the flashy stuff on the other side. But with a guy like Moussa Cisse down there in the circle, where you thought you were going to have a guy like James Wiseman all last year, it just creates so much more opportunities for you on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, and with the size the Tigers will have, and I mentioned this last year with the size we thought they could have with James Wiseman, they won't a lot, but when they go to a zone and they go extended, wingtip to wingtip, there's a small area to play basketball in that will be very well defended.
Yeah, that's a lot of ground covered when you have that type of size. And I think, like you said, I think Moussa Cisse is mostly going to be heavily relied on the defensive side. I have seen he's got a decent shot, but he can pound down there and really back some people back into the basket and get some points that way. And when he dunks the ball, I mean, my goodness, I don't know if I've ever seen a guy just attack the rim with so much force and so much anger like he does. It'll be incredible to watch, and hopefully we'll be watching him here at the hometown team.
I watched the Lausanne State Championship game. I don't know if it was on public TV or if it was on. Anyway, I watched it, and Mike Keith was doing the game. And that day, I think Mike Keith would have signed up to be his agent. I mean, he loved everything he saw about him that day. And I texted Mike in person, was it that impressive? And he said even more so, that everything that went up. Now, it was a smaller classification. That will change in college basketball for him, but I think he's got the mobility to be that extraordinary shot blocker and defender for the Tigers next year. You mentioned Lester Quinones and maybe gambling out some last year on defense. He did, but every time when he made a mistake, when he got burned, it was always in a hustle mode. It was never him dragging around on the defensive end.
No, it wasn't, and that was one of Lester's greatest contributions, was whether or not his shot was working, because he went through a lot of hot and cold spots. He wasn't strumming the guitar every single trip down the court for the Tigers. But regardless of how many points he scored, you knew Lester Quinones was going to play hard.
He gave it.
And he was going to give it all that he had. Yes, people might have made fun of the shorts a little too much last year, put a little too much attention on that. But, I mean, he's one of those guys that if he's got to get down and dirty and bloody for you to win the ball game, he's going to do it.
Yeah, I thought except for the Tulsa game, the effort for the Tigers all last year. But that was group.
Yeah.
And if you're all going to have that night, I'll do it on the same night and get blasted by 40. But the rest of the year, I just thought how they responded to all the curveballs of the season and to Coach Hardaway exhorting them to play hard. I think they did, and you let the chips fall wherever they may when you have a team do that. When we come back, we wrap up this Monday afternoon. We do that next with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 Middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Glad to announce the Rendezvous open for business 11A to 8P Tuesday through Saturday. World famous Rendezvous up and running. If you need some barbecue nachos, brisket, ribs, maybe a cheese and sausage plate, the Rendezvous back and open for dine-in, carry-out, and curbside. While not much changes in the alley basement, you will see a few small differences and additions. For now, open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, and they have desserts. Think key lime pie tarts, chocolate chess pie tarts. Spend some time downtown and visit our friends at the Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis since 1948. All of the Vargas family thanks Memphis and the Mid-South so very much for your support during these times, and they're there for you, as always, in the alley in downtown Memphis. Mr. Charlie Vargas and family's famous restaurant, The Rendezvous.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a three-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Upgrade to luxury. Visit the Umansky Luxury Complex at Ridgeway at 385. Umansky Maserati and Alfa Romeo, Lincoln of Memphis, and Acura of Memphis. One convenient location for incredible brands. Ridgeway and 385. Come see the Italian race-inspired performance of the Stelvio and Ghibli, precision-crafted performance of the RDX and MDX, or the amazing new Aviator, Navigator, or Nautilus. Rates as low as 0%. Payments from $279. 90 days until your first payment at the Umansky Luxury Complex at Ridgeway and 385. Well qualified buyers. Offers cannot be combined.
Hey clones, you've heard me talk about Walmart delivery before, but now Walmart has the fastest delivery service yet. Walmart Express Delivery. Get groceries and more delivered from their door to yours with no contact delivery in 2 hours or less. Zero markups. Same low price as in-store. Don't let work, kids, an at-home workout, or whatever else life throws at you right now get in the way of getting what you need when you need it. Try Walmart Express Delivery today. Restrictions and fees do apply.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. Too easy with the deal, we get in.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
We'll take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Drew, I think you'll like this idea from Tim Kirkjian. There's no doubt Tim Kirkjian loves baseball, and the MVP award has the name of the former commissioner, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, on it. It's getting ready to go off, the award from the Baseball Writers Association of America, and I think you'll like this idea. He wants it to be the Frank Robinson MVP. He's the only player to win the award in both leagues, and I think Frank Robinson's name on that award would be apropos.
I think it would as well. I mean, obviously a great player for my Baltimore Orioles, but also a great player for the Cincinnati Reds. And if you're going to name an MVP after somebody, it might as well be somebody that's done it in both leagues.
And he did. What'd you learn today?
I learned something baseball related too, as the schedule was released about 50 minutes ago. I haven't been able to find a full schedule yet. We do know that we will have the 2 opening games with the Nationals and Yankees and Giants and Dodgers to ultimately kick everything off July 23rd. The only thing on the Orioles front that I've been able to find, out of our 60 games, we will play 7 of them against the Yankees. So
that won't be easy.
I guess you can chalk those up for 7 L's.
I don't know if I'd go 7 L's, maybe
5,
6 L's.
Oh,
I don't know if I'd go. I don't know if I'd go 7. Could have done without Bryson DeChambeau Beefcakes. Of course, he's not playing around, and of course he's very, very odd, very mercurial, very quixotic, odd personality for sure. But that's his business. Mm-hmm. But when it emerged Saturday that he had the dressing down and the browbeating of the TV camera, that was bad form. You can be odd, you can be mercurial, you can be quixotic, and you can be a great player, but it was no need talking to the TV camera person like he did Saturday, because all the TV camera person did was capture him playing golf.
Exactly.
That's the TV camera person's job.
Exactly. It's one thing to be quirky and kind of weird and be that guy, but it's another thing to be a jerk.
And he's all that.
And you never want to be a jerk, and he was upset that the camera guy showed him being a jerk. And, well, that's the camera guy's job, is to be out there showing people.
You hit a bad shot.
You're playing golf.
We watched the reaction, and
exactly.
he didn't hit many. He has really made himself, what do the kids call the bad guy at wrestling?
Heel. He's a heel.
He has made himself into one of the unpopular players. I don't know that he can top Patrick Reed or Bubba Watson, but he's trying. What is it you could have done without?
I could have done without the news from Major League Soccer that the FC Dallas will not participate in the restart tournament after they have now had 9 players and 1 coach tested positive for COVID-19. I haven't really been able to find exactly what MLS is deciding to do going forward, but if one team's already decided to pull out, you wouldn't be very shocked if another one's right behind them. And if that starts to happen, we start to see a domino effect. We could not see the reboot of soccer in Orlando. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, what does that do to the national basketball?
It's all fragile. It's all very fragile, and I'll believe all of them start when they start and finish when they finish. I got to see it almost to believe it. Keeping a close eye tonight on the reaction to no fans for next week at Jack Nicklaus's tournament, the Memorial Tournament in Muirfield Village, and just a matter of time before I think we have that decision here for TPC Southwind. The baseball schedule, it's out. We'll pour through it. Again, I want to see them start, and I want to see them play 17 days before opening day. 17 days before the first opening day was March 9th. That was the day before the last Grizzlies game and 2 days before Rudy Gobert night. A lot happened between March 9th and March 26th, and a lot can happen between July 6th and July 23rd. What are you keeping a close eye on tonight?
I'm keeping a close eye on that MLB schedule release. See how favorable, I think, especially in I guess lightly shaded pencil, of how the Orioles could actually pan out in the 68th season.
We don't go lightly shaded W's and L's for anybody over 60 games. No, we're not going to threaten the audience like that. No, we're not going to do that. We are doing that Friday at 5:30. Yes. The first whip around of Tiger football, Friday at 5:30. We will do our first not so lightly shaded pencil. I mean, it won't be an indelible ink. Mm-hmm. It won't be the ones we go with right on the eve of the season if we have a eve of the season. Drew, great job today. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow. For Drew, first I want to thank Ted Butler, David Cobb, David Wolf, John Varlas, and Alan Bell. For Drew, for Carl, I'm Brett. Talk to you tomorrow at 3.